Kong Xian's expression changed slightly. The patriarch's order. His eyes were filled with surprise. You are. Qin Yu lightly said, who I am isn't important. What's important is whether or not the Kong family is willing to keep their promise. Kong Xian hesitated for a moment before cupping his hands together. This patriarch token is something the Kong family gifted to a grandmaster. Although I don't know what your relationship is with the grandmaster, since the patriarch token is in fellow Daoist hands, and you also know the reason, the Kong family is naturally duty-bound. Patriarch, someone beside him looked anxious. We still have important matters to attend to. We can't afford to delay. Kong Xian said solemnly. My Kong family owes a great debt of gratitude to Grandmaster. There's no need to say anything more. He raised his head. May I ask fellow Daoist what matter you need my Kong family's help with? Qin Yu said, I want to join the Cultivator army. I need proof of identity. Kong Xian heaved a sigh of relief and said hurriedly, this is not difficult. Fellow Daoist is related to the Grandmaster, so it is impossible for you to be a spy of the demonic path. The Kong family can vouch for you. He turned and said, Kong Lin, bring this. I am Ning Qin. Bring fellow Daoist Ning back to his residence first. Kong Xian cupped his hands together. I have important matters to attend to right now, so I ask that you forgive me for my lack of manners. Qin Yu cupped his hands together. It's no problem. Kong Xian quickly led his people away. Kong Lin had an anxious expression. He wanted to follow, but there was nothing he could do. His complexion was a bit gloomy. He glanced at Qin Yu and said, Come with me. His tone was a bit harsh, but for better or worse he knew that Qin Yu was the patriarch's guest, so he didn't go too far. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. Qin Yu wanted to ask about this, but seeing that Kong Lin didn't want to say anything, he nodded and followed behind, happy to be left alone. The Kong family actually had over 200 people, including the elderly, the weak, women, and children. It seemed as if the entire family had moved here. It was a bit strange. After all, everyone knew that although Canyonwell City was firm and had cultivators from all over gathered here, they still might not be able to defend it. With the demonic path style, if the city were to be broken through, then all lives would be lost. Qin Yu's arrival attracted an extremely small amount of attention. After Kong Lin explained himself, no one bothered to pay attention to him anymore. All of them had anxious looks on their faces. However, there were several youths that weren't afraid of strangers. After a moment of hesitation, they moved closer and pretended to be mature as they began to inquire about Qin Yu's background. Qin Yu smiled as he conversed with them. He didn't say anything, but the several youths spilled everything they knew, spitting out everything they knew. It turned out that the Kong family had been persecuted by their former enemies and had moved to Canyonwell City in order to seek help and avoid calamity. It was no wonder that Kong Xian and the others had anxious expressions just now. Qin Yu sat in a corner of the courtyard, casually chatting with the several youths. Occasionally, several Kong family members would glance over, but as they saw this scene, they curled their lips and looked away. He was originally someone with an unknown background, and it seemed that he didn't have any skills. Now that the family was facing a great calamity, no one had the time to bother with him. As time passed, Qin Yu was completely forgotten. When it was time for the Kong family to eat, no one invited him to the table. Instead, several youths brought some food over. Qin Yu smiled and didn't refuse. As the sun began to set in the west, Kong Xian and his group returned. Although they didn't say anything, their gloomy complexion indicated the result of their trip. The atmosphere in the Kong family became even more oppressive. During dinner, Kong Xian thought of Qin Yu. He ordered someone to invite him to eat, but he was glared at by a great uncle. A great calamity has descended upon us, so where do we have the time to entertain outsiders? You, and I should think of a way to get through this. Kong Xian's heart filled with worry, and he soon cast Qin Yu to the back of his mind. That night, the Kong family didn't sleep, but they still hadn't found a way. Qin Yu lay down on a cart, his head resting on the bedding that a Kong family boy had brought over. He leisurely looked up at the sky. Tonight, the sky was clear and hazy, and the moon was hazy. Tomorrow, there would be wind and rain. The sky was bright, and the wind howled. The gray vault of heaven left one's heart heavy. During breakfast, the entire Kong family was in a gloomy mood. Even the several lively boys obediently sat in their chairs, not daring to make the least bit of noise. Kong Xian finally saw Qinyu. A trace of guilt flashed across his face. My family is facing a great change, and I've neglected fellow Taoist Ning. In a moment, I will write a letter of guarantee. Fellow Taoist should quickly leave, lest you be implicated by my Kong family. These words caused Qin Yu's opinion of him to change a great deal. He smiled and said, "It's fine. It's just a few twists and turns, but I'm sure I'll be able to overcome them soon." Perhaps because his smile was too dazzling, the Kong family's uncle coldly snorted. "You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. If it was just a small problem, my Kong family wouldn't be in such a sorry state." He turned around and scolded. "Our family is already exhausted from dealing with the situation, yet you're still stirring up trouble and acting as a guarantor for an unknown person. If something happens, wouldn't that be adding insult to injury?" Kong Xian blushed red. Great uncle is worrying too much. Fellow Taoist Ning Qin has the patriarch token in his hand, so there shouldn't be any problems with his status. The great uncle's expression changed slightly, as if he had thought of something. He let out a low snort and didn't say anything else. If the one who came with the order was that grandmaster, everyone in the Kong clan would definitely be respectful and courteous. However, the one who came was only a foundation establishment cultivator. In the current situation, they naturally couldn't care less. Kong Xian awkwardly said, "Fellow Taoist Ning Qin, please eat." Qin nodded, no longer speaking. The tasteless breakfast was quickly removed. Kong Xian went to his study and wrote a letter. He handed it to Qin. "Fellow Taoist Ning Qin, take it. You can go to the army to receive your identity card." Qin cupped his hands together. "Thank you." Kong Xian pendulum. "If this chapter isn't finished, please turn the page." He waved his hand. "It was my Kong family that was rude. I hope fellow Taoist doesn't mind. Allow me to escort you out." Just as the two arrived at the courtyard doors were kicked open. Several black-clothed cultivators stood outside. "Kong family, it's been a long time since we last met." With a loud shout, the middle-aged man in the lead strode forwards. He arrogantly swept his eyes left and right, as if he didn't consider anyone beneath him. Kong Xian's complexion changed. He clenched his teeth and said, "Han Chung, my Kong family has already moved to Canyon Well City. What else do you want?" Han Chung sneered. "I don't want anything. It's just that my family's old ancestor is interested in Senior Kong's golden core. I asked the Kong family to part with it." "Delusional," Kong Xian roared. "Han Chung, don't go too far. Otherwise, if we all perish together, my Kong family might not fear you." A deep and low voice sounded out from outside the door. "Perish together? Juniors like you aren't worthy of that." A white-haired old man walked in. He was tall and had an imposing aura. A divine light flashed in his eyes, and an invisible aura covered the courtyard. Kong Xian and the other Kong family cultivators behind him all paled. Golden Core Realm. Although he was only at the early second level of cultivation, that was more than enough to roll over the entire Kong family. Kong Xian clenched his teeth and cupped his hands together. "Greetings, Senior Han. With Senior's Golden Core cultivation, could it be that you wish to bully us and attack us juniors?" Han Chung and the others retreated to the side. "Greetings, old ancestor." The Han family old ancestor had an indifferent expression. "You should be asking that old freak Kong. After he broke into the Golden Core realm in the past, did he care about our status when he expelled my Han family from East Dreamtown? There is no need to speak any further. Hand over old freak Kong's Golden Core, otherwise I will attack you." Qin Yu stood on the side, listening to the curses of the cultivators on both sides. He had a general idea of what was happening. In the early years, the Kong family and the Han family were both cultivation families of East Dreamtown. Because of all sorts of problems, both sides had accumulated a deep grudge against each other. After the Kong family old ancestor reached Golden Core, he expelled the Han family. But now that the Kong family old ancestor had died, a foundation establishment elder of the Han family had managed to reach Golden Core through a lucky chance. Both sides had swapped positions. Not long after the Kong family old ancestor left East Streamtown, they were found by the Han family. After being humiliated and harassed, they finally offered to buy the golden core left behind by the Kong family old ancestor. Although a golden core was an inanimate object, if one was carefully refined, it could be preserved for dozens or even hundreds of years. It possessed an extremely powerful might and could be considered a magic tool. Moreover, an even greater advantage was that it could allow one to comprehend their boundaries and break into the golden core realm. For ordinary cultivation families, if they didn't have a deep inheritance and deep background, the chances of them producing a golden core cultivator were negligible. If the Han family wanted to seize the golden core, they would destroy all hopes of the Kong family rising in the future. When the Kong family came to Canyonwell City, they originally wanted to ask for help from an old friend of their old ancestor. But who would have thought that things would go cold? Yesterday, after sitting for 4 hours, they hadn't even seen a single person. This was why the Han family had come to threaten them today. In all fairness, there was no right or wrong in this matter. In the past, the Kong family had expelled the Han family, and now they were being bullied by the Han family. They could be considered to have brought this upon themselves. Qin Yu had helped the Kong family retrieve their golden core, and today he received a letter of recommendation from them. It could be said that the Kong family had taken advantage of him, so he had no intention of interfering. Of course, this wasn't unrelated to the Kong family's attitude. Although he didn't care too much about it, he still felt a bit cold in his heart. Kong Xian's face paled. If he handed over the golden core, then he would be a sinner of the Kong family. But if he didn't hand it over then, he feared the Kong family would suffer a great calamity today. As he was hesitating, his great uncle roared out, "We cannot hand over the old ancestors' golden core. With all the influences gathered in Canyonwell City, I don't believe that the Han family will dare to move against my Kong family." Qin Yu swept his eyes over him and cursed him for being an idiot. With the demonic path's invasion imminent, every golden core cultivator was a target to be won over. Who would have the time to bother with the fallen Kong family? Although this old fellow seemed sanctimonious, he likely had his own selfish motives. With his 9th-level foundation establishment cultivation, he was certainly the most qualified person in the Kong family to perceive the golden core. This ignorant clamor would likely draw a great calamity upon the Kong family. Chapter 39. Genius 1, Second Remember If You Want to Go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. As expected, the Han family old ancestor flicked his sleeves, and the great uncle screamed out in pain as he was sent flying away. He crashed into the cart that Qin Yu had been lying on last night and spat out several mouthfuls of blood. His old face was pale and filled with fear. He clearly didn't think that the Han family would really dare to attack him. Since he refused a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, then from today onwards, the Kong family will be thoroughly disbanded. The Han family old ancestor coldly said. The aura of a golden core pressed down on everyone's chest like a boulder, making it difficult to breathe. Kong Xian pitifully smiled. The cycle of karma is not pleasant. The Kong family cannot blame others for suffering today's calamity, but fellow Taoist Ning Qin has nothing to do with my Kong family. He shouldn't be drawn into this. Senior Han, please allow him to leave. The Han family old ancestor coldly swept his eyes over him, not saying anything. Han Sheng hurriedly said, "Old ancestor, this person must be related to the Kong family. Since he attacked, we should cut the weeds and eliminate the roots." Kong Xian anxiously said, "I can swear that fellow Taoist Ning Qin has nothing to do with the Kong family. The more anxious you are, the more my Han family cannot be careless. Whether or not this boy is related to the Kong family, he can only blame his bad luck for encountering him today." Han Sheng turned and respectfully bowed. Asked the old ancestor to make a decision. The Han family old ancestor's eyes flashed. He lightly said, "I'll leave him to you to deal with." A mere foundation establishment cultivator wasn't anything at all. Han Sheng diabolically grinned. Seize this boy. He would first eliminate those unrelated people and then slowly deal with the Kong family. In any case, he had already greeted them today, so no one would bother him. Qin frowned as he looked at Kong Xian. Seeing that his anxiety didn't seem fake, the coldness in his eyes faded, and he secretly shook his head. Kong Xian might have had good intentions, but he had been dragged down with him. Looking at the two approaching Han family members, Qin thought to himself that it was fine. Since they met again in Canyonwell City, he might as well help the Kong family once more. Another consideration was that if the Kong family was destroyed today, Kong Xian's recommendation letter might not be of much use. Qin looked up. His eyes leaped over the two Han family members and fell onto the Han family old ancestor. His eyes brightened, a fire burning in their depths. After 17 failed breakthroughs, the quality and quantity of magic power in his body had long since surpassed the limits of Foundation establishment. He also wanted to know just what level his current strength had reached. The Han family's old ancestor seemed like a good experimental subject. A golden core cultivator's mind was sharp. The moment Qin Yu's eyes fell on him, the Han family's old ancestor sensed something, and their gazes met in the void. The old monster's heart skipped a beat. He actually felt a bit threatened. He cursed inwardly and wanted to stop him, but it was already too late. Bang! Amidst the muffled sound, a strong gust of wind suddenly rose. Two members of the Han family flew out and rolled on the ground, crashing into the wall like gourds. The wall behind them cracked and collapsed. The old ancestor of the Han family narrowed his eyes. Seeing that the two people who were sent flying were just shocked and not seriously injured, his expression relaxed a little, but his tone was still serious. "Who exactly are you?" Everyone from the Kong family was stunned. They stared at Qin Yu in a daze as he drew back his hand. Their eyes were wide and lifeless, as if they hadn't recovered from the shock of seeing two Han Family Foundation establishment masters fly away like flies. Qin Yu lightly said, "I have no relationship with the Kong family. I was just about to leave, but your Han family wouldn't let me, so I could only stay behind." The Han family old ancestor's momentum stagnated, and he found it hard to maintain his aggressive demeanor. He glared at the sweating Han Sheng and cupped his hand across his chest. In this matter, the Han family was indeed in the wrong first. "I apologize to fellow Taoist. Hurry up and scram to the side so that fellow Taoist Ning can leave." Kong Xian had just regained his composure. At this time, he was filled with both regret and joy. If he knew that Senior Ning Qin had such a cultivation, he wouldn't have gone out to beg others. As he thought about how he hadn't greeted Senior Ning Qin at dinner last night, he couldn't help but curse out loud. "If it weren't for you, how could my Kong family have been so disrespectful?" As he was thinking about how he had to curry favor with Qin no matter what, he heard the Han family old ancestor's words. Puff! He fell to his knees. "Senior Ning Qin, please save my Kong family." The Kong family members weren't stupid. How could they not know that they had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai? Ashamed and scared, they all fell to their knees. Qin Yu swept his eyes over them. Everyone in the Kong family felt their hearts skip a beat. They feared that this person would say, "Oh," and then leave. But to ask for his help, based on the Kong family's previous attitude, even they wouldn't be willing. For a time, all of the Kong family members wanted to cry. "Oh!" Kong Xian found it hard to breathe. His eyes rolled back in his head. He felt as if he had been struck by lightning, and everything in front of him turned black. The only thought in his mind was that this old thief deserved to die for ruining my Kong family. "I think that the Kong family's youths aren't bad. I've decided to stay and play with them for another day." A breath passed through his nostrils and into his lungs. Kong Xian's eyes rolled back into his head, and he immediately recovered. "The Kong family is overjoyed. We welcome Senior to stay for the time being." The Han family old ancestor's complexion darkened. Has fellow Taoist Ning made up his mind? Qin Yu pointed at the several boys from yesterday. "They are all children, so how could they understand the grievances of adults? Let bygones be bygones." The Han family old ancestor's eyes were cloudy and uncertain. After a long time, he said, "Since fellow Taoist Ning wants to intervene, you must first defeat me." Qin Yu smiled. "I asked fellow Taoist Han to give me some pointers. He wanted to help the Kong family, but he had no intention of becoming enemies with the Han family. Old Free Khan was also a cautious person. He had left some leeway in his words. The Han family old ancestor shook his head. Canyonwell City currently does not allow high-level cultivators to fight. Tomorrow, I will be waiting for you on the battle platform. The Han family old ancestor left. Old Free Khan retreated today not only because of the rules of Canyonwell City, but also because he wanted to go back and investigate Qin Yu's situation so that he could make preparations. Qin Yu didn't care too much about this, but he didn't like to openly fight and expose his strength to the public. He frowned. Kong Xian's heart shrank as he saw this. Could it be that Senior Ning Qin wasn't his match? If so, then it would be difficult for the Kong family to escape this great calamity. For a time, his thoughts were in chaos. Qin Yu noticed that his complexion was strange. He didn't say anything. He refused the Kong family's warm hospitality and entered his room to meditate, leaving the Kong family members outside restlessly. Shwa, shwa. The pitter-patter of rain finally began to fall. Although Canyonwell City was large, it didn't have a nascent soul guarding it. This was also the reason that the righteous and demonic factions restrained each other. Neither side had sent their peak combat strength. A nascent soul's noble status was one of the reasons, but the true reason was that this invasion of the Southern Empire could only be considered a local war between the righteous and demonic factions. The Golden Core realm was the peak combat strength on the battlefield. Thus, once news of Qin Yu and Old Free Khan's battle spread out, it immediately stirred up great waves. Countless cultivators felt their hearts surge with excitement. They decided that they would go to the military camp's battle platform tomorrow and witness a high-level battle. The sun and moon rotated. Nothing else could be said. On the morning of the third day, Qin Yu pushed open the door. Kong Xian and a group of people were already respectfully waiting for him. That cold and arrogant great-uncle naturally wasn't here. Yesterday, his injuries were heavy and he had been frightened to the point that he had nearly died. At this time, he was hiding in his room, panic-stricken. Greetings, Senior Ning Qin. Hearing the shouts coming from the courtyard, the great-uncle shivered and a damp feeling spread out from his bed. Qin Yu wasn't in the mood to bother with him. He swept his eyes around and said, "Lead the way." Kong Xian took out a letter with both hands. He respectfully said, "Yesterday's recommendation letter was too simple and crude. It hindered Senior's prestige. I ask that you accept this letter." Qin Yu didn't take it. "What identity did you give me?" Kong Xian braced himself. The Kong family's exalted. Qin Yu's lips curved up in a smile. "You sure know what to do. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page." "Abacus." Kong Xian broke out in a cold sweat. "I beg Senior Ning Qin to agree. The Kong family is willing to offer young women of suitable age to serve you as slaves." Several well-dressed young girls shyly stepped forward and bowed. Qin Yu furrowed his eyebrows. "Have them leave." Kong Xian paled. The several young girls also had bleak complexions. Qin Yu lightly said, "Is the Kong family so unoptimistic about me?" Kong Xian was about to explain when Qin Yu took the letter. "Remember, this is your Kong family's choice. If you're implicated by me in the future, do not regret it." Kong Xian was overjoyed. "No regrets, no regrets." He turned and shouted, "Hurry up and greet the Exalted." Qin Yu shook his head. "Don't delay." "Yes, yes. Lord Exalted, please follow me." Kong Xian respectfully led the way. He felt as if a great stone had been lifted from his heart. As long as Qin Yu agreed, the Kong family would have a golden core protecting them. Even if they were defeated on the battle platform today, the Han family wouldn't dare to bully them too much. To have a golden core and not have one, to a small cultivation family, this was the difference between the heavens and the earth. As for the implicated Qin Yu spoke of, there was no such thing as not paying a price in this world. Since they had enjoyed protection, they had to be prepared to suffer a backlash. From this, Kong Xian was a rather intelligent individual. The residents of the northern district of Canyonwell City were all relocated and a temporary military camp was set up. Cultivators from various influences were stationed here and security was tight. Kong Xian led the way, unimpeded. Along the way, all the cultivators turned to look at Qin Yu, surprise on their faces. Wasn't the Kong family's mysterious powerhouse fighting with the Han family's old ancestor? How could it be a foundation establishment cultivator? As this news spread out, there was an uproar. Many cultivators were drawn over to confirm that the one Kong Xian brought into the camp was indeed a foundation establishment realm cultivator. They were immediately enraged and felt as if they had been deceived. However, besides a small number of people that left in a huff, the vast majority stayed behind. It wasn't that they had any expectations for the Kong family's foundation establishment cultivator, but rather that they wanted to see how this brat would be blasted to pieces. Foundation establishment against Golden Core, TSK, what a great joke. With Kong Xian personally appearing and an official letter of recommendation, Qin Yu soon obtained a military identity token. This was also something used to calculate merit points. After refining it, every demonic cultivator he killed would be automatically recorded on the identity token according to their cultivation. He could then use this to exchange for items on the hunter treasure list. Qin Yu didn't pay attention to the strange gazes of the several cultivators in the army. He revealed a light smile. After going through so many twists and turns, he had finally joined the Alliance army. All that was left was to accumulate merit points and exchange for the Sky Thunder Bamboo. But before that, he had to settle the matter with the Kong family first. Let's go. Kong Xian nodded. Just as the two were about to leave, there was a flash of light in front of them. A middle-aged cultivator was rapidly walking towards them. He had a grand and dignified appearance, and his blue clothes made him seem even more extraordinary. He said in a low voice, Kong Xian, a great war is imminent. The powerhouses of the Alliance cannot fight. His eyes fell on Qin Yu, and he fell silent. He frowned. Who is he? Aren't you here to help the Kong family exalted obtain an identity token? Kong Xian respectfully bowed. Greetings, Senior Zhu Bluecloud. Reporting to Senior, this is my Kong family's exalted, Senior Ningqin. Zhu Bluecloud's face darkened. Kong Xian, I will warn you once more. The Alliance does not allow high-level cultivators to fight. Immediately find the Kong family's exalted and stop him from ascending the stage. Kong Xian had a bitter expression. This junior isn't lying. Senior Ningqin is here. Zhu Bluecloud was so angry that he actually laughed. A foundation establishment exalted, you really dare to say such things. If this were true, then why would that old freakon have retreated yesterday? Did he think he was an idiot? Kong Xian, if you continue to play dumb, then don't blame me for punishing your Kong family with my status as the Alliance's punishment elder. Chapter 40. Genius 1, second remember if you want to go. Sure, Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Qin Yu suddenly said. Han Beishan has already stepped onto the stage. Love, go small, say, Netku, Zhu Bluecloud's complexion became increasingly ugly. What a good Kong family. Not only did the patriarch play dumb, but even a mere junior dared to call out a Golden Core cultivator by his name. This was simply insolent. Kong Xian, control your juniors well. If they dare to spout nonsense again, I will definitely not forgive them. Qin Yu had a light expression. Why didn't you stop Han Beishan before he stepped on his stage? Now, you want the Kong family to retreat? Is this considered preferential treatment? Shut up. Zhu Bluecloud was enraged. You little junior, how dare you disrespect me? I must punish you today so that you don't know the immensity of the heavens and earth in the future. Kong Xian shouted. Senior Zhu, he's really a consecrator of my Kong family. You're mistaken. Zhu Bluecloud froze. He turned to look at the cultivators at the registration desk. Several people quickly nodded, their complexions becoming strange. Foundation, establishment, realm worshippers? Had the Kong family gone mad, or had the world changed? When did a foundation establishment cultivator dare to challenge a Golden Core cultivator? His complexion was cloudy and uncertain. He glanced at Qin Yu and said in a low voice, Nonsense. As for the Han family, I will speak on your behalf. Kong Xian, Hurry up and take this brat and scram. If you really want to die, go to the battlefield and kill demonic cultivators. There will be plenty of chances for you to die a violent death. Although Zhu Bluecloud's words were unpleasant to hear, he actually wanted to save Qin Yu's life. If so, then Zhu Bluecloud wasn't a bad person. Qin Yu smiled. Don't worry, I won't die. He stepped forwards. Kong Xian hurriedly bowed and quickly followed. Zhu Bluecloud's complexion was ugly. With his status, when had he ever been ignored by a Foundation establishment cultivator? This Kong family Jr. was far too arrogant. He must have obtained his current cultivation smoothly and didn't know what he was capable of. Perhaps he had some tricks up his sleeve, but he actually dared to underestimate a golden core cultivator. He didn't know how the word death was written. He wanted to wash his hands of the matter, but at such a young age, a sixth-layer Foundation establishment cultivator wasn't weak. It would be too much of a pity if he fell on the battle platform. Forget it. He would go to the battle platform and watch the battle. When he suffered a bit, he would save him. When the time comes, I want to see what kind of expression he has. Zhu Bluecloud turned and walked away. The knot of depression in his heart dissipated a little, and he revealed a faint smile. Although he didn't want to admit it, he found this boy to be quite pleasing to the eye. The battle platform was a place for the cultivators of the Alliance to settle their personal grievances. Apart from blood feuds that could not be reconciled, most of them would stop at a certain point. Love, go small, say, netko, but even so, the fight between cultivators was extremely dangerous. Whenever the winner was decided, blood would be spilled. The potholes on the surface of the fighting platform were mottled with blood and filled with invisible killing intent. Han Beishan stood on the stage, his eyes slightly closed, exuding the aura of a grandmaster. Countless gazes gathered on him, filled with awe and respect. No wonder he's a golden core cultivator. Even though he's just entered this realm, his demeanor is still extraordinary. We're far inferior. A 9th-level Foundation establishment cultivator sighed, his eyes filled with envy. Beside him were people who were about the same level as him. Hearing this, they nodded repeatedly. They had all touched the peak of Foundation establishment, but the more they did so, the more they understood the huge gap between Foundation establishment and Golden Core. The dark-faced, large fellow cursed out loud. I originally wanted to watch a Golden Core battle today to confirm my own cultivation and gain some insights, but who knew I would be played for a fool? After today, I will definitely look for the Kong family's trouble. A Foundation establishment realm exalted is truly the greatest joke in the world. I wonder if the entire Kong family was scared silly, or if they were just trying to stall for time. Since we're here, we might as well just treat this as a farce. I want to see just what that exalted from the Kong family will be like when he faces Senior Han. As Kong Xian listened to the discussions around him, he rolled his eyes and cursed them all for being idiots. Foundation establishment realm? With a casual wave of his hand, he was able to force back 2 Foundation establishment masters of the Han family and temporarily scare away that old ghost Han Beishan. What kind of joke was this? Senior Ning Qin was absolutely at the Golden Core realm. It was just that he had used some unknown method to conceal his aura. Perhaps he wasn't as strong as that old freak Han, but it was more than enough to protect himself. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. Just wait. There will be a time for you to look for your eyeballs. Kong Xian respectfully shouted out. Exalted, please step onto the stage. The Kong family cultivators that had gathered behind him all spoke up. Exalted, please step onto the stage. With this, it would be hard not to attract attention. Qin Yu instantly gathered everyone's eyes. Many of them were shocked and shocked. It was only now that they were able to confirm that the Kong family had found a Foundation establishment exalted. For a time, the scene was thrown into chaos. On the stage, Han Beishan opened his eyes. A divine light flashed, and the aura of a golden core rose up. It was like a coiling serpent looking down, its dense aura causing one's scalp to tingle. After the ruckus, everything fell silent. Countless people paled. They cried out in alarm. A golden core cultivator was truly terrifying. Qin Yu looked straight ahead. his eyes meeting Han Beishan's. Then, he calmly stepped onto the stage. The flow of people automatically parted. As Zhu Blue Cloud rushed over, he was startled. What a brat that loved to show off. But the gaze of the Golden Core cultivator wasn't easy to withstand. Han Beishan had already used some of his divine sense to suppress it, so he was likely just forcing himself to endure it. The Golden Core Great Tao, wasn't just empty words. The most exciting part was yet to come. Qin Yu arrived in front of the stage. With a step, he rose up from the ground and steadily landed on it. Han Beishan's pupils shrank. Behind him, Zhu Blue Cloud had a dignified expression. He could clearly feel that there weren't any magic power fluctuations from Qin Yu's step. In other words, he had relied entirely on the strength of his mortal body to leap onto the 10-foot-high stage. Any cultivator that paid a bit of attention to their mortal body could accomplish this. But to leap up over 10 feet from the ground like he did, that was something that not even 1 in 10,000 could do. Could this brat's trump card be the strength of his mortal body? Zhu Blue Cloud's lips curled up. He suddenly felt that this brat was even more to his liking. Who didn't know of the Earth Imperial sex, Zhu Blue Cloud? He had relied on his mortal body to create an illustrious reputation. Qin Yu cupped his hand across his chest. Fellow Taoist Han, please. Han Beishan took a deep breath. Let's fight. He lifted a hand and thrust out a palm. Strong winds surged up, spinning around him like sharp blades. Zhu Blue Cloud cursed out loud. He never imagined that Han Beishan would use his full strength against a Foundation Establishment Junior. Although he was here, he couldn't save him in time. As he thought about how a junior he liked would soon be turned into a pile of bloody flesh and blood, his complexion darkened to the point where it looked like it could squeeze out water. Qin Yu's eyes narrowed, and he stepped forwards. His figure was like a fierce tiger breaking out of its cage, his momentum explosive as he violently broke into the whirlwind. This action surpassed everyone's expectations, and even Han Beishan was startled. But soon, his eyes widened in disbelief. Qin Yu's robes fluttered in the wind, and flowers of blood splashed out. But none of this was able to stop Qin Yu's advance. Han Beishan was experienced and wanted to temporarily retreat. But just as he moved, he came to a sudden stop. An iron-like hand grasped his throat, causing blood to flow out and drip onto the stage. Qin Yu's hair was messy and his robes were torn. He slowly said, "You lost." At this time, the world fell deathly silent. Qin Yu let go and took a step back. He turned and leapt off the stage, like a mountain crashing into the sea. The cultivators below hurriedly retreated, their eyes filled with awe and shock. Han Beishan stiffened. His clothes were soaked in a cold sweat. If this were a battlefield, he would already be a corpse. Thinking of this, his scalp tingled. He said with difficulty, "After today, the grudges between the Han and Kong families will be written off." Qin Yu paused for a moment. Then, he nodded and walked away. Kong Xian and the other Kong family cultivators followed behind, ecstatic expressions on their faces. If one looked carefully, they would discover that their stomachs were all wet. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. They were trembling with excitement. He had won. The Lord Exalted had actually won. Bang! There was an uproar on the stage. To forcefully resist a Golden Core magic technique and subdue Senior Han in a single strike, this person's strength is terrifying. A 9th-level Foundation Establishment cultivator muttered to himself, his eyes shining with a frightening brightness. If he could learn such a technique, wouldn't he also be able to roll over a Golden Core? Most of the people around him had similar thoughts. Their faces were cloudy and uncertain, all of them thinking the same thing. Would Lord Ningqin accept a disciple? Suddenly, someone quietly said, "Who was it just now that said that after today, they would look for trouble with the Kong family?" The dark-faced large fellow turned and walked away, as if he didn't know anything at all. Several people watched as the large fellow left, disdain in their eyes. But soon, they discovered that this fellow was chasing after the Kong family cultivators. They couldn't help but curse inwardly. How could they allow him to be one step ahead of them? Whoosh, whoosh, in the blink of an eye, the area around the stage emptied out. Countless cultivators rushed towards the Kong family. Zhu Bluecloud stood there. As the disciplinary elder of the Alliance, there was no cultivator in Canyonwell City who didn't respectfully bow to him when they saw him. But at this time, he was like air. Nearly 100 Foundation establishment cultivators hurried past him, their eyes never pausing for a moment. The corners of his lips twitched. He muttered to himself, "I made a mistake." Qin had already expected what would happen next. Not long after he left the stage, he separated from the Kong family and put on a black robe. As he walked out from a remote corner, he just happened to run into the Foundation establishment cultivators that were rushing towards the Kong family. He smiled and turned without hesitation, heading straight for the city gates. After obtaining the status of an Alliance cultivator, the Kong family's crisis had been resolved. Qin Yu didn't want to delay any longer. He only had one Sky Thunder Bamboo. If someone exchanged for it ahead of time, that would create countless troubles. 3 months later, in the wilderness, billowing demonic energy gushed out, emitting ear-piercing whistling sounds. A demonic golden core paled, fear in his eyes. He never thought he would run into that evil star. The news from yesterday was that he was thousands of miles away. So how could he appear here? The demonic cultivator roared in his heart. That dog scout has ruined my life. With a cold sweat on his forehead, the demonic golden core fiercely turned his head. A cold aura brushed past his scalp, and several strands of hair left him panic-stricken. Damn it, this magic art clearly looked like a cold blade. It was a common technique used by Foundation establishment cultivators, but it was actually so strong. With his heart filled with fear, he lost all will to fight. All he could think of was how to escape. At this time, there was the sound of breaking air behind him. The demonic golden core cursed inwardly. It's coming again. He avoided the attack of a small black flag. But before he could relax, a pitch-black figure appeared in the surging demonic energy, smashing down with an ink jade scepter. As the demonic golden core was about to dodge, he felt a sharp pain in his mind. His body stiffened, and he could only stare with wide eyes as the ink jade scepter fell down. Bang! A headless corpse fell to the ground, blood gushing out like a fountain. After killing the demonic golden core, the pitch-black figures scattered and fused into a small flag, flying back into the hands of youth. He fell on the ground and rummaged through the flag before taking out a token. As he looked at it, a bright light flashed on his face. The 10th. This youth was Qin Yu. Canyonwell City had fallen into the flames of war. The righteous and demonic paths were in full swing, but he didn't join in on the fun. Instead, he sneaked into the demonic path's territory and hunted down demonic path powerhouses. The Alliance calculated merit points based on one's cultivation. Hunting down high-level demonic cultivators was naturally the fastest way to obtain merit points. A golden core was equal to 100 Foundation establishment demonic cultivators. Chapter 41. Genius 1, second remember if you want to go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. In 3 months, Qin Yu traversed tens of thousands of miles and had killed 9 demonic path golden cores. This had caused a great stir and given him the title of Evil Star. Although most of those he killed were early golden core demonic cultivators, this was still an unbearable loss for the demonic path. They had already begun to arrange people to surround and kill him. Qin Yu realized this. By relying on his powerful demonic body to erupt with magic power, he traversed thousands of miles in a single day. Only then was he able to cut down this demonic path golden core today. The ground beneath his feet shattered, and Qin Yu shot into the skies, instantly leaving the battlefield and disappearing without a trace. In an area controlled by the demonic path, he had to be extra careful. If he wasn't careful, then he would encounter danger. The reason he was able to kill 10 demonic golden cores in 3 months was because his strategy of changing locations with every shot he took played a great role. An hour later, Qin Yu flew above a lake and fell into the water. His body sank down, and he soon arrived at a large stone at the bottom of the lake. He formed a law formula. and a thin layer of light appeared. There was no large stone in front of him. It was clearly the entrance to a cave. Qin Yu flashed in. He revolved his magic power, and water vapor rose up around him. His robes immediately dried up, and he stepped inside. The cave wasn't large, and there were signs of rough excavation. This was one of the several footholds that Qin Yu had set up. Although he had chosen early Golden Core demonic cultivators, he could still fight early Golden Cores, and he also had Black Sky demon sneak attacks. Even so, there were still extremely powerful existences around. After killing them, he would be injured, so he naturally needed a safe place to recuperate. As for the array formation that hid the cave dwelling, it was an array disc that Qin Yu had obtained from a Golden Core demonic cultivator's storage bag after killing him. This thing could be activated with magic power and demonic power. After activating it, it could be used in a simple manner. It was simply a blessing for array formation novices. Qin Yu sat down cross-legged and swallowed down several pills to restore his lost strength. Today had been relatively smooth, and he hadn't been injured in the battle. 2 hours later, he opened his eyes and took out his storage bag to organize his harvests. He couldn't help but praise the demonic cultivator's generosity once more. After 10 Golden Core demonic cultivators had contributed a massive amount of merit points, Qin Yu's pockets had also bulged up. Their noble character and unquestionable integrity were admirable. The only regret was that demonic cultivators used demonic treasures. Even if they could drip a drop of blood to recognize a master, it would be difficult to use magic power to stimulate them. Perhaps Qin Yu's luck had taken a turn for the better, but the 10th Golden Core finally dropped a usable treasure, Cloud Step Boots. This was a magic tool that could greatly increase a cultivator's speed. Qin Yu immediately tried it on. His figure flashed, and he arrived at the entrance of the cave, a smile on his face. It was truly worthy of being called Cloud Walker. With his treasure helping him, his speed had nearly doubled. If he superimposed the forbidden eruption of magic power from the Gale Step, then he might be comparable to a late Golden Core cultivator. Once again, thank you, Devil Cultivator. After tidying up everything, Qin Yu did some calculations. The merit points he had accumulated from the 10 demonic Golden Cores and some Foundation Establishment demonic cultivators should be enough to exchange for half of the Sky Thunder Bamboo. It wasn't that the Cultivator Alliance was black-hearted and had set a high price, but that the Sky Thunder Bamboo was an ancient spiritual plant that was nearly extinct in the modern cultivation world. It was also 800 years old and could be called a priceless treasure. With such a high price tag, there shouldn't be anyone who would compete with him. In another 3 months, he should be able to gather enough merit points. When he broke through to the Golden Core stage, his strength would increase by several times. Even if the Southern Kingdom was in chaos, he would still be able to protect himself. Qin Yu smiled. He prepared to cultivate at the bottom of the lake for several days. He had just killed a Golden Core, so the surrounding area would surely be heavily guarded. It wouldn't be too late to act after he had avoided the limelight. But after just a day, Qin Yu awoke from his cultivation. He rushed to the entrance of the cave and looked at the raging lake waters outside. He muttered, "They're actually fighting at my doorstep. Should I take this chance to play a big one?" Zhu Blue Cloud was miserable beyond words. He had received orders from the high-level figures of the Cultivator Alliance to enter the demonic path area and destroy an array formation in order to prevent the demonic cultivators from obtaining the treasures within. Everything had gone smoothly, and he had completed his mission, but just as he was about to leave, this chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. He was discovered, and a Golden Core demonic cultivator was entangling him. With his 5th-level Golden Core cultivation, he didn't fear this demonic cultivator. At most, he would be able to easily escape after spending a bit of effort. But Zhu Blue Cloud never imagined that there would be so many high-level demonic cultivators hidden in this area. When a 3rd demonic Golden Core caught up, he could only flee in distress. As he fled and fought his way to the top of the lake, there were already 4 Golden Core demonic cultivators surrounding Zhu Blue Cloud. If it weren't for his strong cultivation, his powerful magic tools, and his powerful mortal body, He feared he would have been torn apart on the spot. Even so, he wouldn't be able to last much longer. He thought to himself that his life was over. The four golden core demonic cultivators could see that Zhu Blue Cloud was a spent force. They immediately revealed bloodthirsty and excited expressions. Relying on your cultivation to slaughter the masters of my demonic path, today will be the day you die. That's right, the four demonic golden core demonic cultivators regarded Zhu Blue Cloud as the infamous demonic path evil star. This could be considered him suffering in place of Qinyu, because these high-level demonic cultivators that had suddenly appeared had come to surround and kill Qinyu. Evil star, prepare to die. Take revenge for the fallen powerhouses of my demonic path. Kill him, flay his skin, and pull out his tendons. Zhu Blue Cloud didn't know what to say. He wanted to shout out that they had mistaken him for someone else, but that wouldn't be able to save his life. It was better to save some strength. The more the four demonic path golden core demonic cultivators fought, the more excited they became. They all wanted to be the one to kill this evil star. In addition, Zhu Blue Cloud was tired from dealing with them and gradually relaxed his defenses. The surface of the lake suddenly exploded. Qinyu's figure shot into the skies, instantly approaching the demonic path golden core. Spirit thrust erupted as he punched out. Bang! A head exploded in the air. Caught off guard, this demonic path golden core was killed on the spot. At almost the same time, not too far away, another demonic path golden core miserably cried out as his chest burst open. The black corpse sealing nail pierced through his chest, creating a massive hole. In the blink of an eye, two demonic path golden cores had died. Zhu Blue Cloud had escaped from death. Just as he was about to shed tears of gratitude, he saw Qinyu's figure and his face stiffened. Qinyu shouted out, "One for each person. Let's finish this quickly." As he regained his composure, raging anger ignited in Zhu Blue Cloud's chest. 4 against 1 to kill this father. Now it was time for him to show his might. With a deep roar, Zhu Blue Cloud activated his magic tool and instantly suppressed the demonic cultivator in front of him. Magic arts blotted out the skies, leaving him in a miserable state. It wouldn't be long before this battle was over. The last demonic path golden core saw the situation turn bad and turned to flee. Magic power erupted from within Qinyu's body. The cloud step boots flashed with light, leaving behind a series of afterimages in the air. In terms of speed, he truly didn't fear anyone. The demonic cultivator in front of him turned around and sneered. He didn't fear Qinyu at all. It was unknown what method he used, but blood-red flames ignited around his body, increasing his speed by 10 times and leaving him behind in the blink of an eye. The fearless Qinyu's complexion darkened. He could only watch helplessly as the golden core demonic cultivator grew smaller and smaller. He stopped and frowned. During this period of time, his actions had been smooth. Every time he locked onto a target, it would be hard for him to escape death. Unconsciously, he had developed a sense of pride and arrogance. But the appearance of this demonic cultivator was like a wake-up call, crushing away all of his arrogance. The world was vast, and there were countless fortuitous encounters. He definitely wasn't the only one with hidden cards and methods. If he maintained his previous attitude, sooner or later something would happen. Qinyu looked in the direction that the demonic cultivator had fled in. Although he had to thank this demonic cultivator to a certain degree, if he had the chance he would kill him without hesitation. He was very interested in a method that could instantly increase his speed by 10 times. As he flew back to the lake, Zhu Blue Cloud's battle had just ended. The demonic cultivator across from him had been smashed to pieces, his blood dyeing the surface of the lake red. You dare be arrogant? You dare to be skinned alive? I'll tear you to shreds first. Chase me again. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. Chase me down. The corners of Qinyu's lips twitched. Zhu Blue Cloud coughed twice, an awkward and hesitant expression on his face. Qinyu waved his hand. There's no need to thank me. Hurry up and leave. This place will soon be overturned by demonic path cultivators. With a splash, he dove into the bottom of the lake. After activating the array disc, he broke through the water and vanished from sight. Zhu Blue Cloud let out a long breath of relief. He was known as the sage who would rather die than lose face. To have him bow his head in thanks was worse than having his flesh cut off. As something's wrong, Zhu Blue Cloud stomped his feet and cursed. Ning Qin, you bastard. It turns out I was the one who took the thunder for you. As Qin Yu faintly heard the roars behind him, he smiled. His figure continued to rush forwards, sticking close to the ground. After killing 3 demonic path golden cores in a single go, he couldn't stay here any longer. With a black robe concealing his aura, and in addition to being cautious, Qin Yu crossed over 3,000 miles in 2 days. After killing several Foundation establishment demonic cultivators along the way, he arrived at Billowing Wave City. This was a bustling city that he had once visited before. Now, large sections of its walls had collapsed, and the remaining areas were covered with traces of bombardment. It was clear that it had been ravaged by the flames of war. If I don't dig up the roots when cutting weeds, it really is a disaster. Qin Yu wryly smiled. He could only patiently wait for a chance. Several days later, Qin Yu didn't see a lone demonic path golden core. Instead, through Black Sky Demon's eyes, he unexpectedly saw an acquaintance. It was the demonic cultivator that had escaped that day. In his room, Qin Yu's eyes flashed open. After a moment of thought, a cold smile appeared on his face. Chapter 42. Genius 1, Second Remember if you want to go. Shua Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Nearly half of Billowing Wave City had been destroyed in the war, but due to the influx of demonic cultivators, it had managed to recover to a certain degree in a short period of time. The smell of wood and paint had yet to disperse from the hasty renovation of the restaurant, but it did not stop the guests from coming in like clouds. The invasion of the Southern Kingdom was unstoppable. Most of the demonic cultivators had made a fortune and their wallets were bulging, so they could eat and drink with confidence. In a private room on the 3rd floor, a dozen or so high-ranking devil cultivators were gathered together, toasting to the person at the head of the table, and their flattery was unbearable. Fellow Taoist Sweeping Cloud fought the Evil Star duo and escaped unscathed, spreading news of this to prevent high-level cultivators of my demonic path from being injured. This is truly a great deed. We are lucky to have fellow Taoist Sweeping Cloud. Otherwise, who knows how many lives my demonic path would have to pay in order to learn this information. Come, let's raise our cups together to fellow Taoist Sweeping Cloud. Sweeping Cloud Demon was only at the 3rd level of Golden Core. When had he ever shown his face in front of someone of the same level? At this time, his face was flushed red with embarrassment, and he even grinned from ear to ear. Just as he was about to say a few more words and then drink the cup, the door to the private room was suddenly kicked open. A black-robed figure locked on his Sweeping Cloud Demon and coldly said, "Evil thief, you killed my wife and son. Now that 20 years have passed, I have come to find you to pay with your life." The thick resentment in his voice was so thick that anyone who heard it could feel the deep blood enmity within. The table of cultivators that were originally filled with rage looked at each other in dismay. They could clearly imagine the entire situation. Sweeping Cloud Demon had killed his wife and child, and now he had come to seek revenge. Several demonic Path Golden Core cultivators that were originally unconvinced glanced at Sweeping Cloud Demon and cursed him for being an idiot. What did it matter if demonic Path cultivators killed their wives and children? Who here hadn't done something similar? But since you did it, you should have cleaned up your hands and feet. Now you've provoked trouble for yourself. His aura was not obvious under the black robe, but a formless, baleful aura lingered around him. With a single glance, one could tell that he was not someone to be trifled with. A demonic golden core hesitated. Brother Danyan, this is Sweeping Cloud Demon, was also in a daze. He had already forgotten what happened 20 years ago. Had he ever killed his wife and children? He seemed to have done it before. As he thought of this, An awkward expression appeared on his face before it darkened. At the most brilliant time of his life, someone had actually come to seek revenge on him, and this was because he hadn't handled the matter properly. This caused him, a demonic path golden core, to lose all face. Oomph. Sweeping Cloud Demon coldly sneered. In the past I killed your wife and son, so today I can kill you. If you want revenge, then come. When the demonic cultivators at the table saw that he had admitted it, they immediately stood up and tried to smooth things over. Some said, "It's not easy to obtain the Jindan Dao, but it's even more difficult for us demonic cultivators." Some said, "The Jindan Dao has already been formed, and thousands of beauties are at his beck and call. If his wife and children die, he can just remarry and have more." Finally, there was someone who painstakingly tried to persuade him. "It's stupid to risk your life for the dead. We should face the sea and welcome a better future." The black-robed figure remained silent, as if he were about to move. The several demonic cultivators glanced at each other and calmed down. Although the demonic path was chaotic, battles between high-level cultivators were strictly forbidden. This was especially true after Golden Core demonic cultivators had been killed off one after another recently. If Sweeping Cloud Demon really were to fight to the death with this person, they would be in trouble. Come. Drink a cup of wine with Sweeping Cloud Demon and forget the grudges of the past. From now on, we are all friends. A Golden Core demonic cultivator boldly said. He took out 2 large bowls and filled them with wine. Then, he pulled the black-robed figure to the table. The black-robed figure hesitated for a moment and then picked up the large bowl. Sweeping Cloud Demon sneered, feeling his face rise. "So what if I killed your wife and son? Now you're just obediently begging for peace with me." He casually picked up the bowl of wine and said, "Be careful what you say in the future. If it weren't for the face of fellow Taoists here, I wouldn't have let you off so easily." The several people at the table secretly frowned. For better or worse, these were all golden cores, so these words were a bit excessive. If they provoked an accident, then everyone would be in trouble. Luckily, the black-robed figure paused for a moment and then raised his head to drink the wine in his bowl. This chapter is not yet finished. Please turn the page. After a moment of peace, they couldn't help but feel a bit of contempt. This person was just too spineless. Sweeping Cloud Demon was even more pleased with himself. He wanted to drink some more wine so that others would know that he wasn't someone to be messed with. No one thought that the black-robed figure who had been swallowing his anger would suddenly attack at this time. His fist struck Sweeping Cloud Demon's body, sending him crashing into a round table and splashing juice everywhere. "I can't be friends with you. After this punch, our grudges are even." After throwing down these words, the black-robed figure broke through the window, vanishing without a trace in the blink of an eye. The demonic cultivators in the room curled their lips. Since he attacked, then he shouldn't have run away so quickly. What sort of hero was he to not admit what he did? What sort of grudges were you talking about? How laughable. No, for better or worse, Sweeping Cloud Demon was a 3rd-level golden core. Even if he was caught off guard and was punched, there shouldn't be no movement from him. As the several demonic golden core cultivators turned around, their complexions changed. Sweeping Cloud Demon's neck was twisted. He had long since died. A fellow covered in energy was taking out a storage bag from his chest. "How dare you? Stop!" With angry roars, a powerful aura erupted. But the murderer didn't give them a chance to attack. With a strange laugh, he turned into black smoke and vanished. "This is bad. We've been fooled. They're together." The several demonic golden core cultivators reacted quickly. But when they rushed out of the restaurant, the black-robed figure was nowhere to be seen. "Chase after him. We cannot let him escape." With angry roars, several people rushed out of the city. A moment later, Qin Yu emerged from not too far away from the restaurant. Although there were no fluctuations of demonic energy coming from his body, the infernal energy that surrounded him made one shiver with fear. This sort of infernal energy that could only be stained by recklessly slaughtering others made him seem more like a demonic cultivator than a demonic cultivator. He left the city safely. The demonic golden core cultivators that were chasing him had long since disappeared. Dozens of miles away from billowing Wave City, a figure flew towards him. The billowing demonic energy around him revealed that he was a golden core. He was alone. Qin Yu's thoughts stirred, and he revealed a panicked expression. "Stop!" With a loud shout, the demonic cultivator blocked his way. It was one of the golden cores from the restaurant. His eyes were cold and gloomy. "What are you afraid of?" Qin Yu shook his head again and again. "If you don't tell me the truth, then just watch how I deal with you." The golden core demonic cultivator reached out a hand, and Qin Yu immediately flew towards him. But this time his heart shrank. He heard a calm voice in his ears. "I'm afraid you will run away." Bang! A fist fell. There was a loud crackling sound of bones breaking. The demonic cultivator's chest caved in, and he cried out for help. Black Sky Demon appeared behind him, casually twisting his neck in an exaggerated manner. He quickly plundered everything. Then, Qin Yu put away Black Sky Demon and shot into the skies. A moment later, several golden core demonic cultivators arrived. As they saw their companion die on the spot, they stomped their feet in anger but didn't dare to chase after him. Soon, news of the Evil Star duo appearing in billowing Wave City and killing 2 golden cores rapidly spread out. Sweeping Cloud Demon's death caused a great deal of anger and was viewed as a provocation to the entire demonic path. The high-level figures of the demonic path issued a strict order to kill Zhu Blue Cloud and that demonic cultivator no matter the cost. In a cave, Qin Yu grasped the jade slip he obtained from Sweeping Cloud Demon's storage bag, his face full of smiles. To me, the blood escape art is simply tailor-made. This art stimulated the blood energy in one's body and used a secret technique to burn it, instantly increasing one's speed by 10 times. Qin Yu had swallowed countless body transformation pills, and his mortal body was tyrannical to begin with. Now that he had also refined the demon body, his blood energy had reached an inconceivable level. Sweeping Cloud Demon could use this art 3 times in a row at most before his mortal body reached its limit. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. But in Qin Yu's hands, he could use it 30 times without a problem. Afterwards, with the blood escape art in his hands, unless a nascent soul personally chased after him, no one would be able to stop him. He would be able to freely enter and leave the battlefield, and earning military merits would be much easier. After laying down an array disc to conceal his aura, Qin Yu went into seclusion. After a month, he finally succeeded in refining the blood escape art. He flicked his sleeves and put away the array disc. Then he stepped out of the cave and shot into the skies. In the next moment, blood-red flames ignited around him, increasing his speed by 10 times. He was like a meteor that shot into the horizon, vanishing from sight. The Southern Empire was located in a warm and humid region. The 4 seasons weren't too distinct, and the forests here were lush and green all year round. The forest in front of him was only an extremely ordinary one. Suddenly, a deep rumbling sound echoed out and the earth gently trembled. If one were to look from high up in the air, they would discover that deep within the forest, a vast expanse of emptiness had appeared. Countless trees were uprooted and twisted into powder. The surrounding 3,000 feet seemed to have been plowed through countless times. Cracks spread out everywhere, leaving no place intact. A massive number of wild beasts cried out in pain as they fled into the distance. Qin Yu knocked away a wild dog that was panicking. As it crashed into him, his chest shook and he spat out a mouthful of blood, his complexion extremely ugly. Beside him, half of Black Sky Demon's body had been blown apart. Luckily, he wasn't a life form, so he could recover after recuperating in the soul-burying flag for a period of time. If it weren't for Black Sky Demon blocking in front of him, and Qin Yu using the blood escape art to avoid him, he feared he would have been dragged into the explosion by that golden core realm demonic cultivator. Even the demon body wouldn't have been able to withstand the bombardment of a golden core exploding. Thinking of this, Qin Yu's heart chilled. He never imagined that this demonic cultivator would explode his golden core without any regard for his soul. Putting away Black Sky Demon, Chinyu swallowed several pills and turned to leave. His thoughts raced. This matter was definitely unusual. Half a month later, Chinyu borrowed Black Sky Demon's hand and learned that the high-level figures of the demonic path had issued a kill order for him. He knew he couldn't continue hunting them. These high-level demonic cultivators had clearly gone mad. If several of them surrounded him and blew themselves up at the same time, he wouldn't be able to escape. When he rescued Zhu Blue Cloud, he had killed 2 in a sneak attack. In Billowing Wave City, he had killed Sweeping Cloud Demon and another unlucky fellow. In addition to this ruthless character that had blown himself up, 15 demonic path golden core cultivators had died under Chinyu's hands. Although he was still a bit short of exchanging for the Sky Thunder Bamboo, safety came first. There would always be a chance for him to earn military merits. Chinyu left as soon as he said he would. After crossing 30,000 miles in 10 days, he quietly returned to Canyonwell City. Here, the righteous and demonic paths were intertwined. Canyonwell City relied on its geographical advantage to withstand the fierce attacks of the demonic path several times. Only at this step did the various factions of the Southern Empire finally gain a firm foothold. After the initial panic, they began to steadily stabilize themselves. Chinyu took out his identity card and tied it to his waist. After a strict inspection to determine that there was nothing wrong with it, he was allowed to enter the city. Without delay, he flew straight to the Alliance Station. Although it was extremely difficult to exchange for the Sky Thunder Bamboo, there was still a chance that someone else would obtain it first. Battle Stage. As the war calmed down and the hearts of the Alliance settled, many cultivators had gathered here. 2 Foundation establishment cultivators were fiercely fighting on the stage, drawing cheers from the audience. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. The sword-wielding cultivator was knocked off the stage and forced back several steps. Although he hadn't been injured, his complexion was still ugly. He coldly snorted and turned to leave, nearly crashing into the person behind him. His heart pounded. "Don't you have eyes? Get out of my way." Just as he was about to push him away, he froze. Everyone's expressions changed again. This lord had actually killed 2 golden core demonic cultivators. But soon after, the bell tolled a 3rd time, then a 4th, a 5th. The bell rang out incessantly, enveloping the entire city. Countless cultivators were stunned as they looked towards the Alliance's encampment. Was the Merit Service bell broken? On the fighting platform, the numerous Foundation establishment cultivators that had gathered together to discuss how to capture Lord Ningqin listened to the ringing bells. Their expressions changed from respectful, shocked to expressionless, and finally, cursing in a low voice. The Hall of Merit is too outrageous. They can even mess around with the Great Bell. An old, experienced Foundation establishment cultivator said angrily, drawing a wave of agreement. Suddenly, another person said, "Say, do you think this is Lord Ningqin?" The scene suddenly became silent. Everyone was shocked by this sentence and subconsciously refuted it in their hearts. Impossible, right? That means he has killed more than 10 demonic path golden cores. Lord Ningqin is strong, but he isn't strong to such an abnormal degree. Yes, there must be a mistake. Haha, Lord Ningqin must have gotten lucky. He must be very surprised right now. Everyone's complexions gradually calmed down. Their eyes subconsciously looked towards the entrance of the Alliance's encampment. For some reason, as they thought back to how Chinyu instantly killed Han Beicheng, they felt an inexplicable weakness in their hearts. Could it really be him? This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. After the bell tolled more than 10 times, several Merit Department cultivators flushed red. One of the female cultivators stood up. "I will inform the Lord to repair it." She couldn't wait any longer. Otherwise, the Merit Department's face would be thoroughly lost. She hurried away. Just as she was about to step out of the hall, she suddenly froze in place. She stared at the scene in front of her. The great Merit Service bell glowed with a brilliant purple light, and the vast and majestic bell tolls constantly reverberated outwards. Beneath the great bell, A black-robed cultivator frowned. He looked at the great bell with a puzzled expression. The female cultivator only saw the side of his face. Although he looked ordinary, there was an inexplicable attraction to him. Her face blushed red as she looked at him. Sixth level of foundation establishment. She relaxed a little, but as she thought about why she relaxed, she couldn't help but blush even more. With a bit of panic, she said, "Hey there, hurry up and move away. The bell is broken, so it won't hit you." In her heart, she thought that Chinyu was the main culprit behind the bell's chaos. She didn't know whether it was funny or angry. Chinyu revealed a look of understanding. No wonder the great bell had tolled on its own as soon as he arrived. He smiled and gestured for her to take several steps forwards. He cupped his hands together and said, "Thank you for the reminder, fellow Taoist." At this time, the great bell stopped tolling 15 times. Looking at his face, it couldn't be any more ordinary. But what the hell was that intense attraction? The female cultivator felt her face catch fire. She lowered her head and said, "What are you doing here?" Just as she spoke, her body stiffened. What else could he have come to the merit department for? These words were just too stupid. Chinyu looked at the nervous and clumsy female cultivator in front of him with a smile. His mind that had been taut for several months relaxed a little, and he revealed a light smile. "I came to look up the rest of the 100 treasure list." Seeing that he didn't seem to notice her, the female cultivator relaxed a little. But just as she looked up, she was blinded by his smile. By the time she regained her composure, a young cultivator from the merit department had already begun to receive him. She glared at the youth in disappointment, blaming him for meddling in other people's business. She wanted to move closer, but was afraid it would be too obvious, so she stood to the side and listened. As for informing the Lord to repair the merit service bell, it had already recovered. Chinyu asked for the newest 100 treasure list. The battlefields of the righteous and demonic paths were vast, and the Alliance branch divisions were located in every city. All of them had the authority to exchange for treasures, so if he wanted to determine whether or not the Sky Thunder Bamboo was present, this was the most accurate place to find out. The youth in front of him had a faint hostility on his face. Chinyu was surprised, but as he thought back to the dizzy female cultivator just now, he smiled inwardly and probed the jade slip with his divine sense. The 10th place was the Sky Thunder Bamboo. Luckily, no one had taken it first. Chinyu smiled. The youth's complexion became increasingly ugly. This was because he couldn't help but admit that although this boy looked ordinary, his smile was far too attractive. For a grown man to smile so beautifully, he definitely wasn't anything good. "Is there anything else? We are very busy." His stiff words revealed a bit of lack of confidence. This was the typical hormonal behavior of a young man. Chinyu smiled. He laid down the jade slip and prepared to leave. The female cultivator anxiously glared at the youth again. She blushed and said, "He was a bit impatient because he was busy. I hope fellow Taoist doesn't blame him." Chinyu shook his head. It's understandable. His casual attitude and the magnanimity he inadvertently revealed caused the female cultivator's heart to beat even faster. She hurriedly tossed out a topic she had already thought of. "Fellow Taoist, did you come to confirm that the item you desire is still on the 100 treasure list?" There was no harm in revealing this. Chinyu smiled and nodded. The female cultivator let out a breath of relief. She hurriedly said, "In truth, fellow Taoist can use a portion of your military merit points to reserve a treasure on the 100 treasure list. After you reserve it, even if someone takes out more military merit points to reserve it or exchange for it, we will notify you ahead of time and reserve it for 7 days." Chinyu's eyes brightened. "There's such a thing? Then I would like to reserve it." This chapter isn't finished. Please turn to the next page. The youth already found him displeasing to the eye. He coldly snorted. A treasure on the 100 treasure list requires at least 30% of the mark price to reserve it. The higher the ranking, the more merit points are needed. It's best to calculate it first so you don't lose face. The female cultivator clenched her teeth. "Shut up." She looked at him with a bit of worry. "With my authority, the most I can do is reduce the amount of merit points you need to pay by 10%. If the difference is too great, There's nothing I can do. The youth felt his chest tighten, and tears nearly flowed down his cheeks. Big sister, aren't you just showing off your affection for me? Isn't that too naked? As for me, what should I do? Chinyu smiled. He refused. It's fine. I have enough merit points. Please help me reserve the 10th place on the 100 treasure list. The female cultivator's heart skipped a beat. If he could gather enough merit points to exchange for a treasure on 100 treasure list so quickly, he must have some skill. Her voice became increasingly gentle. All right, I will immediately reserve the 10th place on the 100 treasure list for you. She turned and beckoned. Shan Shan, hurry and bring me the reservation book. Seeing her close friend's stunned expression, the female cultivator stamped her feet. She angrily said, What are you doing? Hurry and bring it over. The youth coldly sneered. Sky Thunder Bamboo? Fellow Taoist, are you sure you aren't mistaken, or are you intentionally causing trouble in the merit department? That's right, Chinyu lightly said. What I want to reserve is the 10th place on the 100 treasure list, the Sky Thunder Bamboo. Everyone in the merit department had strange expressions. Chinyu's earnest expression left them unsure whether to laugh or to cry. A mere 6th-level foundation establishment cultivator. He actually dared to open his mouth. The youth laughed. Do you know how many merit points are needed to exchange for the Sky Thunder Bamboo? Do you know that up until now, there hasn't been a single person who has reserved or exchanged for a top 10 treasure on the 100 treasure list? Do you know how high the heavens are and how deep the earth is? He was excited. This person was far too stupid. In order to show off, he would resort to any means necessary. With such a good opportunity, he had to seize it and reveal his true colors in front of junior apprentice sister Ziqiang. He took a deep breath, waiting for Chinyu to feel ashamed or refute him. But what he received was disregard. Chinyu took out his status card. He said to the female cultivator, I'll have to trouble you to reserve it for me. Ziqiang was startled. You really want to reserve the Sky Thunder Bamboo? Chinyu nodded. Yes. The youth angrily jumped out. He grabbed the status card and said, Let me help you convert your merit points first. I want to see just what sort of confidence you have that makes you so arrogant. Several exchange cultivators looked at Chinyu with admiration. They thought that this brat was willing to go all out in order to chase after a woman. But even if his determination was strong enough, his methods were terrible. They feared that he would end up losing all face and losing all face. Ziqiang bit her lips. She wanted to stop him so that he wouldn't make a fool of himself, but she couldn't find a reason. She couldn't help but glare at him. This fellow, can't he see what I'm thinking? He actually wants to use such a method to attract my attention. What do you do now? You're going to lose face. Ziqiang looked at Chinyu. As she saw that he was still as calm and collected as before, she didn't feel any disgust or disgust. Rather, she thought it was quite interesting. This fellow's skin was really thick. He was actually acting as if nothing had happened. Could it be that he wanted to use this method to make her remember him? Thinking of this, her face blushed red and her heart tightened. What if he asked me to meet him in secret? Should I agree? Or should I agree? Wouldn't that be too unreserved? Her mother said that men were fickle and fickle. If they obtained something too easily, they wouldn't cherish it. A cry of alarm interrupted Ziqiang's thoughts. She looked up in panic like a little animal that had been caught stealing food. Across from her, besides Chinyu, everyone else's eyes were wide open, their expressions a mess. Her heart shrank. She slowly turned around and saw that the merit point stone in front of the youth was glowing with a deep purple light. It was so noble and luxurious that it left one in awe. Hashtag, 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 hashtag. I was wondering why I didn't receive any monthly votes or tips today. I even forgot to update. What a sin. Chapter 44. Genius 1, second remember if you want to go. Speak, net, to provide you with wonderful novels to read. Purple. Ziqiang felt as if a piece of her heart had been cut off. Chinyu lightly said, How many merit points do I have? The youth subconsciously gulped. He felt as if his entire body had gone numb. He muttered, 167,000. Everyone in the hall seemed as if they had been struck by lightning. They stubbornly stared at him, their faces filled with an expression that said, "You brat was right." The youth scowled. "It's true, it's true." It was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Chinyu had a light expression. "Is it enough to reserve the sky thunder bamboo?" "It is." The youth paled. His eyes were like a rabbit that had seen a big bad wolf, his intestines turning green. Chinyu nodded. "Reserve it." Oh. The youth suddenly regained his composure. As he discovered that Chinyu didn't seem to have any intentions of making things difficult for him, his complexion brightened. He nearly ran the entire way. In less than half the time, he presented the certificate with both hands. "My lord, please accept it. Once you make up for the rest of your merit points, you can use this to complete the exchange." Zi Qiong paled. Her ears buzzed. She didn't think her eyesight would be so good, but this was too good. She no longer hesitated, because they were people from different worlds to begin with. The young girl's innocent, pure, and sweet love ended like this. This was a cruel and realistic world. Chinyu looked at her apologetically. He took the certificate and left. Light flashed at the entrance, and Zhu Blue Cloud stepped into the hall. His eyes brightened. "I knew it was you came back." He swallowed the disrespectful words brat after a moment of hesitation. No matter how much he didn't want to admit it, when he looked at Chinyu, he couldn't help but feel a bit of admiration. He had rampaged through the demonic path's territory, cut down 15 golden core demonic cultivators, earned himself the illustrious title of Evil Star, and aroused the wrath of the high-level figures of the demonic path. He really wanted to cut open Chinyu's body and see whether or not there was a white-haired old monster hiding beneath his skin. How could he be so capable? "Greetings, Elder Zhu." Everyone in the merit hall hurriedly bowed. Zhu Blue Cloud waved his hand. "Let's go. I have something to ask you." Chinyu frowned. "I'm a bit tired. I want to rest." Hee, that's not up to you." Zhu Blue Cloud sneered twice. He lowered his voice and said, "Don't force me to reveal the identity of this evil star. Otherwise, the demonic cultivators will definitely try to get close to you." Chinyu's frown deepened. Zhu Blue Cloud proudly smiled. "Let's go." At this time, several figures walked into the merit hall. The leader was a middle-aged cultivator with a scholarly temperament. He smiled and said, "Brother Zhu, long time no see. You look as elegant as ever." Chinyu's eyes widened for a moment before he looked away. Behind the middle-aged cultivator, Zhang was puzzled. That person's expression froze for a moment, but it didn't escape her eyes. Could it be that he knows me? But when he thought about it carefully, he had no impression at all. Zhu Blue Cloud exchanged some pleasantries with him. Then, he glanced behind him and bid his farewells. Chinyu looked straight ahead as he followed. As Zhang looked at his back, a faint sense of familiarity welled up in her heart, and she could not help but frown slightly. At the side, Zhang's expression was gloomy. Zhang, that person dared to disrespect you. I'll go teach him a lesson." Before Zhang could speak, everyone in the Hall of Merit looked at him as if they were looking at an idiot. Zhang Qingzu's heart skipped a beat. He turned and scolded, "Shut up, don't be so insolent." Moments later, Zhang Jiai, this chapter is not yet finished. Please turn the page. After leaving the Merit Hall, Zhang Qingzu thought for a moment. He asked, Zhang, do you know that person?" Zhang hesitated for a moment and then shook her head. On the battle stage, as they watched Zhu Blue Cloud and Chinyu leave, a 9th-level Foundation establishment cultivator couldn't restrain his curiosity. He loudly said, "Which fellow Taoist has a friend in the Merit Hall? Can you ask him and dispel the doubts in my heart?" Yes, I also wanted to say that. If it were anyone else, I would only treat it as a joke. But since it involves Senior Ningqin, I feel a bit flustered. "I feel the same way." A female cultivator stood up. "I have a junior apprentice sister working in the Merit Hall. I will be back soon." After a long time, when everyone thought she had left halfway, the female cultivator's figure finally appeared in their line of sight. Her face was deathly pale, as if she had lost her soul, as if she had been frightened. Zhu Blue Cloud lived in an exquisite garden. The scenery was tranquil. He stood by a lake and sneered. "Have you taken a liking to this girl?" Chinyu didn't even bother to look at him. Zhu Blue Cloud wasn't angry. Then she must be an old lover. Don't try to deny it. My eyesight is very good, so don't think you can fool me. Qin Yu lightly said, if you only want to pry in my privacy, then I will bid my farewells. Stop. Zhu Blue Cloud clenched his teeth. Since you're in such a hurry, then let's get down to business. Tell me, how did I become the evil star duo? Do you know that I haven't even dared to take half a step out of Canyonwell City recently? There are tens of thousands of demonic cultivators clamoring to kill me. How are you going to settle this debt? I saved you. Zhu Blue Cloud stomped his feet. I helped you take the blame, but I saved you. Shut up. What I want right now is an explanation. You did such a good deed, so why should I be dragged down with you? Qin Yu lightly said, I don't understand what you're saying. Then I saved you. Zhu Blue Cloud gasped for breath. But it was unknown what he thought of. But he soon composed himself, a happy expression on his face. Ning Qin, are you trying to hide yourself and play the pig to eat the tiger? Let me tell you, keep dreaming. Don't you find it strange that the great bell outside the Merit Hall is ringing for some reason? Qin Yu's complexion changed. Zhu Blue Cloud laughed. That is the Merit Hall bell. If you kill a golden core demonic cultivator, the bell will ring once. It rang 15 times just now. Hee hee, 15 golden cores. No wonder the high-level figures of the demonic cultivators were so flustered and exasperated that they issued the order to kill you. As he thought of how he had been implicated, his complexion darkened, and he became even happier. Let's see where you can hide now. Come with me and expose yourselves to the rage of the demonic cultivator's hatred. Qin Yu's complexion darkened. If he could, he really wanted to grab hold of the person who arranged the Merit Hall bell and beat him up. He had wandered through the demonic path territory for several months without being locked onto. But now he was exposed to all the demonic cultivators. Looking at Zhu Blue Cloud's smiling face, Qin Yu coldly snorted and walked away. He knew that he couldn't keep his identity a secret anymore. Even if the Alliance issued a gag order, the spies planted by the demonic cultivators would still spread the news. But luckily, it wasn't as if he didn't have a countermeasure. As he turned a corner, Qin Yu stopped and turned around. Do you think I'm the same as you now? So you're happy? Zhu Blue Cloud's smile stiffened. What do you mean? Qin Yu said, what I mean is that you are far too naive. He pointed a finger at his face and then turned to leave. Zhu Blue Cloud was stunned for a moment before he reacted. He cursed out loud. Despicable! How despicable, you bastard! Hearing the curses behind him, Qin Yu smiled. Perhaps there really was some fate between people. For instance, when he met Zheng Zhongxiu at East Stream Town. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. Qin Yu had an extremely good impression of Zhu Blue Cloud. This fellow might be a bit sanctimonious on the outside, but he was actually quite interesting. If there was a chance, perhaps they could become friends. But soon, Qin Yu regretted his thoughts. If possible, he really wanted to banish Zhu Blue Cloud from his life. This was because this fellow actually had a hidden chatterbox attribute. Ning Qin, do you know the Westridge Sect's old freak Lu? If you don't, then I'll tell you. That old boy is over 300 years old, and not too long ago, he married an 18-year-old female disciple of the Rainbow Sect. I even suspect that his old waist will break in bed. You have no idea how sanctimonious that old fool is in front of others. Ning Qin, what do you want the Sky Thunder Bamboo for? Don't look at me like that. I am the disciplinary elder of the Alliance, so I have the right to look up information. Don't worry, I won't steal it from you. Moreover, I don't have that many merit points. I'm just reminding you that the Sky Thunder Bamboo isn't easy to raise. It has extremely strict requirements for its living environment. If it dies after you exchange for it, wouldn't that be a tragedy? Ning Qin, the red carps in my family's lake have been tossing and turning recently. I've had someone look at them, but they aren't sick. Can you guess what the reason is? They're in heat. That's right, these red carps are in heat. This is the first time I've seen a fish in heat. The veterinarian who diagnosed me said that it might be because the atmosphere in Canyonwell City is restless, causing the red carps to feel a sense of crisis. Thus, they're in a hurry to lay eggs and give birth. That was enough. Even if you ignored him, Zhu Blue Cloud would still stand in front of you and blabber on for several hours without end, often wanting to continue. Ever since he entered the Mayor Hall, he had been like this every day. As Qin Yu was thinking about whether or not he should quietly move, Zhu Blue Cloud finally brought him some useful news. It's getting lively. This fellow was filled with excitement. The latest news is that the demonic path has been attacking Canyonwell City for a long time without any results. They have issued a challenge to the Alliance and will decide the ownership of the city in 3 matches. If the demonic path is defeated, they will retreat 300 miles and will not attack for the next half year. Qin Yu's eyes flashed. There are merit points to earn? Zhu Blue Cloud gave him a "you're so smart" look. Yes, very, very much so. The 3 matches were divided into early golden cores, middle golden cores, and late golden cores. Every victory would earn 30,000 merit points. This was equal to killing 3 demonic path golden cores. Qin Yu smiled. Zhu Blue Cloud glanced at him. What? Do you want to participate? His expression was as if he were begging him for help, and he would satisfy him. Qin Yu lightly said, since they had you leak the news to me, they will naturally give me the qualifications to participate. Zhu Blue Cloud curled his lips, disappointment written all over his face. You are too smart. Boring, really boring. He was secretly delighted. The Alliance would naturally reward him for helping out in this matter. Ning Qin, no matter how cunning you are, you still have to drink the water I wash my feet with. Qin Yu shook his head. Don't be so tense. If you want to laugh, then laugh. If you convince me to help, then the Alliance will definitely give you benefits. As long as you don't think about the water you wash your feet with, I'm fine with it. Zhu Blue Cloud's complexion changed. He blurted out, You can read minds? Qin Yu's eyes darkened. Zhu Blue Cloud, did you really think of the water I wash my feet with? No, I still have matters to attend to. I'm leaving. Zhu Blue Cloud turned and left. As he watched him leave, Qin Yu's complexion relaxed. He could finally have some peace and quiet today. Since the Alliance had allowed Zhu Blue Cloud to visit him, that meant that this matter had basically been decided and would soon be put into practice. With 30,000 merit points, he would be able to exchange for the Sky Thunder Bamboo. Several days later, Zhu Blue Cloud came to visit. He brought news confirmed by the righteous and demonic paths. The 2 sides would fight in Hidden Wind Valley 30 miles outside the city. They would use the method of winning 2 out of 3 battles. This was no different from what Qin Yu had expected. Chapter 45. Genius in a Second. Remember Love Go. This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. Zhu Blue Cloud said, Qin Yu, you should be aware that this battle between the righteous and demonic paths will not only involve Canyonwell City, but also the morale of both sides. This will affect the entire Southern Empire battlefield. According to what I know, the high-level figures of the demonic path have already sent powerhouses from their main headquarters. Each one of them is an astonishing individual of their generation. This battle is not as simple as it seems on the surface. He paused for a moment. Although you are strong, you don't necessarily have full confidence you can win. With your methods, you can obtain 30,000 merit points with some time. There is no need for you to take such a great risk. If you aren't willing to help, I can explain things to the Alliance. It is impossible for them to force you. Qin Yu's heart warmed. He smiled. To make you so anxious that you're even hinting at something so obvious. Just who did the demonic path send? Zhu Blue Cloud never doubted his intelligence. He sighed. If you don't withdraw, then the one you will be fighting is the #1 genius of the demonic path's younger generation, Army Breaker. He broke into Golden Core at 27 years of age. Although he is only at the first level of Golden Core, he was able to kill a Golden Core powerhouse when he was at the Foundation Establishment realm. His current terrifying strength can only be described as unfathomably deep. Qin Yu's heart chilled. In the world of cultivators, ranks were extremely strict. When a high-level cultivator spoke to a low-level cultivator, they could control their life and death. There were very few people that could jump ranks to fight, and those that could jump ranks to fight were even rarer. But those that could do so were all chosen prides of heaven. They had formidable talent, or they had amazing methods of good fortune. No matter which one it was, they were extremely difficult to deal with. However, he remained calm on the surface. Although there were great waves in his heart, they were far from becoming waves. If it was a Foundation establishment cultivator killing a golden core, he could still kill them, and he would kill far more than just one. Seeing his expression, Zhu Bluecloud revealed a worried expression. He shook his head. I knew that you wouldn't withdraw. If you were able to step into the demonic domain alone and slaughter everyone in your path, how could you possibly fear a little demon? He turned. Let's go. Follow me to the Alliance. There is some confidential information regarding Army Breaker that might be useful to you. Chinyu nodded. All right. Confidence wasn't arrogance. Army Breaker was absolutely strong. If he knew information ahead of time, he would be able to calmly deal with him. Alliance Base. The one responsible for receiving Ning Qin was a 7th-level Golden Core cultivator named Jiang Yuanhao. Looking at his performance, his status was above that of Zhu Bluecloud's. His attitude towards Ning Qin was extremely good, and his smile didn't diminish at all. After Ning Qin mentioned that he wanted to look up news of Army Breaker, he immediately handed over a jade slip and sat to the side, his demeanor admirable. Chinyu thanked him and received the jade slip. He looked over the information within, and after a long time he looked up and closed his eyes. Countless pieces of information converged in his mind, piecing together the figure of Army Breaker and summarizing his basic state. His magic power was thick, his mortal body was formidable, he had a demonic treasure in his hands, and it seemed his divine sense was also sharp. Chinyu subconsciously frowned. He felt that this person's performance was a bit familiar, but he was immediately stunned to discover that this was a replica of him. How many coincidences, cautiousness, good fortune, and dangers had led to the cultivation he had today. Army Breaker had this strength, and had even broken through to Jin Dan a step earlier. His experiences might not be any weaker than Chinyu's, making him more difficult to deal with than Chinyu had expected. It was just 30,000 merit points. Was it really too risky? Just as this thought appeared, Chinyu suppressed it. Cultivating the great Tao and changing one's fate was the true meaning of cultivation. If he retreated today, it would shake his will and leave behind hidden dangers in his mind. Chinyu opened his eyes. His expression was solemn. He met their gazes and slowly said, starting from today, I will go into seclusion until the day of the competition. Jiang Yuanhao relaxed a little. His smile widened. Of course, fellow Taoist Ning Qin can cultivate in the Alliance Station. No one will disturb you. Chinyu stood up. There is one more thing. I will not be using the name of the Kong family's exalted Ning Qin to fight. No problem. Jiang Yuanhao readily agreed. I will lead fellow Taoist to your seclusion area. Zhu Bluecloud followed behind, his eyes sweeping over Chinyu. Chinyu didn't say anything. He nodded, his expression calm and unperturbed. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. So what if he was Army Breaker? Who was weak and who was strong would only be known after they fought. The Alliance training field was heavily guarded, and there was a great array formation set up to gather spiritual strength. As long as one paid a small fee, they could obtain an absolutely safe cultivation chamber. This was a place that was widely praised. Jiang Yuanhao brought Zhu Bluecloud to accompany him, so Chinyu naturally received a high standard of reception. The person in charge of the training field personally arranged for the best cultivation chamber to be opened. Coincidentally, the Zhang family was also at the training field, as if they were waiting for someone to leave seclusion. Jiang Yuanhao's arrival caused a great commotion and drew everyone's attention. But Zhang Zhang's eyes were mostly focused on Chinyu. She couldn't figure out just who this extremely ordinary youth was that such a great figure of the Alliance would personally accompany him. At this time, Zhang Qingzu walked out from the training field with a bright smile on his face. After several days of seclusion, he had reached the 3rd level of Golden Core. He was naturally satisfied. His eyes fell on Zhang Zhang and the others. Just as he was about to raise a hand to greet them, he paused and turned to look at Jiang Yuanhao. After a moment of hesitation, he walked over and cupped his hands together. Fellow Taoist Jiang, fellow Taoist Su, fellow Taoist Ju, how do you do? His smile was warm and friendly. But besides Zhu Blue Cloud, who turned to greet him, the other two only nodded and continued to talk. Zhang Qingzu's smile became forced. He felt a cold intent wash over him. He didn't know if he should leave or stay. He was left in an awkward position. Zhang Zhang saw her father receive such a cold reception from afar. Her heart ached and her eyes turned red. She bit her lips to prevent tears from falling down. Qin Yu noticed this. He hesitated for a moment and cupped his hands together. Greetings, fellow Taoist Zhang. Jiang Yuanhao was startled. He glanced at Qin Yu, his expression calm and unfathomable. His thoughts raced, and he smiled. Fellow Taoist Zhang, we met several days ago. Zhang Qingzu was excited. He quickly said, Yes, when I came to Canyonwell City, I met fellow Taoist Jiang once. His eyes fell on Qin Yu, filled with gratitude and confusion. The cultivator in charge of the training field, surnamed Sun, also smiled and exchanged some pleasantries with him. This caused Zhang Qingzu's face to flush red with excitement, and he promised to get closer to him in the future. Although Zhang Qingzu wanted to stay a bit longer, he suppressed these thoughts. He cupped his hands together and bowed before leaving. The Zhang family cultivators all had excited expressions. They all bowed, their eyes filled with worship as they looked at their patriarch. Jiang Yuanhao and Sun Siyuan were absolute high-level figures in the alliance. For them to be able to chat and laugh with their patriarch, just what sort of treatment was this? If this was said out loud, it would be a great honor. Zhang Zhang's face lit up with joy. Her words had a double meaning. Congratulations, Daddy. Zhang Qingzu smiled. He subconsciously looked behind him. The training room was prepared, and everyone cupped their hands together in farewell. Zhu Blue Cloud escorted Qin Yu in. Seeing this, his heart skipped a beat. But he didn't say anything and led his people away from the training field. After returning to their residence, they waved their attendants away. When there was only father and daughter left, Zhang Zhang couldn't help but ask, Daddy, Senior Jiang and Senior Sun are so friendly. If news of this spreads, it will be greatly beneficial to you. So why are you so depressed? Zhang Qingzu bitterly smiled. Daughter, do you really think that Jiang Yuanhao and Sun Siyuan only have me in their eyes? The reason they are acting like this today is all because of my face. He spoke of how Qin Yu had helped them out of their predicament. Zhang Zhang gasped, shock covering her face. He should only have a foundation establishment cultivation and shouldn't be much stronger than I am. So how could he have such great face? Zhang Chengzu's eyes brightened. Wait, foundation establishment cultivation. Foundation establishment cultivation. I should have known it was him. Yes, it must be him. Who is Daddy talking about? Kong family's exalted. Ning Qin. Zhang Zhang cried out. It's him. Although she hadn't been in Canyonwell City for long, she had heard this name far too many times. I should have known that besides him, who else would have the face to change the attitude of characters like Jiang Yuanhao and Sun Siyuan? Zhang Qingzu muttered to himself. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn to the next page. Whispers. Zhang Zhang hesitated. Daddy, although Lord Ning Qin is strong, he might not be able to influence Senior Jiang and Senior Sun, right? Zhang Qingzu forced a smile. Of course he can. Zhang Zhang, do you still remember when the merit service bell rang 15 times in a row? Zhang Zhang's eyes widened. That's him. The Alliance issued a gag order for this matter. I only inadvertently learned of it. Zhang Qingzu secretly shook his head. As he thought about how he hadn't been able to get closer to Ning Qin when they first met outside the merit service hall, he couldn't help but feel regret. But why would Ning Qin help him? Zhang Qingzu's eyes fell on his beloved daughter. He suddenly said, Zhang Zhang, you really don't know Ning Qin? Zhang Zhang shook her head. Your daughter doesn't know him. Could it be that Ning Qin was interested in Zhang Zhang? Zhang Qingzu's heart raced. This explanation was reasonable, but if it was true, he hesitated for a moment, not saying anything. He thought that if this was true, Ning Qin would surely make a follow-up move. It wouldn't be too late to mention it after confirming it. 6 days later, The righteous and demonic paths met at Hidden Wind Valley. It was unknown what he was thinking, or perhaps it was because he learned something from Zhu Blue Cloud, but Jiang Yuanhao sent out an invitation to Zhang Qingzu. Zhang Qingzu excitedly brought Zhang Zhang and several other outstanding disciples with him. They were surprised by Jiang Yuanhao's invitation, and Sun Siyuan smiled as he greeted them. The Alliance cultivators whispered inwardly. They weren't indifferent to Zhang Qingzu, but they were excited to finally step into their circle after so many trials and tribulations. Compared to the shrewdness of their elders, the young and frivolous second-generation disciples were simple and crude. They simply didn't place the Zhang family in their eyes. Zhang Zhang could feel the burning heat in the eyes of several enthusiastic disciples. She was annoyed and embarrassed, so she drew a clear line between herself and the second-generation disciples and enjoyed the scenery around the camp by herself. Hidden Wind Valley was extremely deep and the terrain was twisted. There were countless cracks in the ground that wove together like a spider web. Even if a strong wind blew in, it would be difficult to get out. This was why it was called Hidden Wind Valley. The exposed red mountain rocks had been exposed to the sun and wind for countless years and had cracked apart, giving off a rather wild and desolate feeling. As Zhang Zhang immersed herself in this, her depression began to disperse. Zhang Hua and the others were overjoyed. They tried to cheer her up and accompany her through the valley. Zhang Zhang, look, these dozens of cracks crisscrossing each other. From afar, doesn't it look like a giant bear foraging for food? Zhang Hua smiled and pointed a finger, but in the next moment his face froze. Several cultivators suddenly drilled out from the cracks across from them. As soon as they saw each other, they could feel that their auras were cold and gloomy. Demonic path cultivators, Zhang Zhang said in a low voice. Big brother Zhang Hua, let's go. Zhang Hua regained his composure and hurriedly nodded. But at this time, the demonic cultivators across from them had already discovered them. After a brief pause, one of them flickered and blocked their path. Golden Core. Zhang Hua's heart shrank. Senior, what is the meaning of this? The Golden Core demonic cultivator's eyes were cold and gloomy. I want to ask you, just what are you trying to do by breaking into the territory controlled by my demonic path? Zhang Zhang quickly turned around. The maid beside her said in a panic, Miss, we haven't crossed the boundary. Girl, are you saying that I'm speaking nonsense? A thick killing intent surged forth, causing Qiuqiu's face to pale. Zhang Hua clenched his teeth. Senior's actions are beneath your dignity. The Golden Core demonic cultivator coldly sneered. Shut up. You don't have the qualifications to speak in front of me. Hurry up and give me an explanation, otherwise none of you can leave. Zhang Zhang stopped Zhang Hua from speaking any further. She bowed and said, Junior greets Senior. Today, juniors were greedy for the scenery and accidentally entered the territory controlled by the demonic path. I ask Senior to be magnanimous and spare us this time. Chapter 46. Genius 1, second remember if you want to go. Sure, Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. The Golden Core demonic cultivator's complexion relaxed a little. Little girl, you know the rules and etiquette, I like it. But if you make a mistake, you must be punished. Come, follow me back for questioning. Once you explain yourself, I will let you go. Zhang Zhang's face stiffened. She certainly couldn't agree to this. Otherwise, if she really entered the territory of the demonic path, she wouldn't be able to explain herself even if she had 100 mouths. Moreover, there is something in the old devil's eyes that terrified and disgusted her. She took a deep breath and said softly, Senior, with my status, I can't cause any trouble at all. Let us go and pretend that nothing happened. Isn't that good? Li Yunmo revealed a hesitant look. All right, I will let them go, but you must stay. He didn't want to lose this piece of meat at the edge of his mouth. Zhang Hua was enraged. Old demon, my master is one of the upper echelons of the Alliance. If you dare to harm the young miss, you won't be able to escape. Bang! Li Yunmo flicked his sleeves and sent him flying away. Li Yunmo's eyes were fierce. I want to know just how your teacher wants me to face tribulation. Stop. Liang Taizu led his people forwards. Draw back. Do not be rude to this young miss. Li Yuma respectfully nodded. Liang Taizu swept his eyes around and sighed inwardly. Because of Li Yunma's cultivation method, he normally didn't lack women, so he wasn't surprised. But Zhang Zhang's beauty was beyond his expectations. He cupped his hands across his chest and said, "This subordinate is rude and has startled the miss." Zhang Zhang was shocked. Among the demonic cultivators, there was an old man with an aura as deep and unfathomable as the abyss. He was the strongest among them. Who was this young man? How could there be such extravagance? Senior did not make things difficult for me. Young master, you're being too serious. Liang Taizu's eyes lit up with praise. Misunderstands the bigger picture, so I will not make things difficult for you any longer. But this subordinate of mine has already drawn the bottom line that he will leave one person behind. Miss, I ask that you abandon one of the two maids and you may safely leave. Behind Zhang Zhang, the expressions of the two women changed drastically. In her panic, Qiu glanced to the side. Seeing her pale face, she calmed down a little. She thought to herself, I've been with Miss since childhood. Even if she has no other choice, she won't abandon me. The others obviously had the same thought. Their eyes looked at her faintly discernible. Some of them felt that it was a pity, but they didn't say anything. Otherwise, would they stay on her behalf? What a joke. Gu Ling bit her lips, a pleading look on her face. Zhang Zhang forced a smile. Gongzi, Liang Taizu faintly said, Miss, don't force me to take back my promise. Gu Ling was filled with despair. She couldn't hold back her tears any longer, and they fell down her cheeks. Li Yunma licked his lips. He lifted a finger and said, Young master, this old servant thinks this girl isn't bad at all. Only a pear blossom in the rain can taste good. Zhang Zhang's body stiffened slightly. Everything seemed to have been decided. In the silence, a black figure stepped out from a bend in the valley. The youth's appearance was extremely ordinary, but his eyes were unfathomable like the sea. How lively! The cold voice was clearly transmitted to everyone's ears. Zhang Zhang suddenly turned her head. Although it was an unfamiliar face that entered her eyes, the way he walked, the way he carried himself, there's no mistaking it. It's him. It's definitely him. Joy surged from the bottom of her heart as she hurriedly bowed. Greetings, my lord. The people from the Zhang clan and the demonic cultivators all revealed strange expressions. Could it be that a mere foundation establishment cultivator could change the situation? Li Yuma's complexion changed. His cold and gloomy eyes fell on the black-robed youth. He turned and whispered several words into Liang Taizu's ear. Liang Taizu's eyes brightened. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. After a moment, he opened his eyes and smiled. What a familiar smell. We meet again. He swept his eyes around. Where is the Grandmaster? I have never forgotten the graciousness of teaching you that day. The black-robed youth was expressionless. I have no idea what you're talking about. Liang Taizu smiled. It doesn't matter if you don't know. We have plenty of time. How about we come to my tent and sit down so we can have a good chat? The black-robed youth lightly said, Liang Taizu, the righteous and demonic meetings. This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. The demonic meetings are the manifestation of the will of the high-level figures. Even if you have an honored status, if you try to ruin the demonic meetings, you will inevitably pay a heavy price. It wasn't easy for you to obtain your current status, so you should consider it carefully. Liang Taizu's smile widened. You seem to know a lot, but as long as I keep all of you here, who will know that I was the one who did this? The black-robed youth looked at the old man across from him. You can try. The old man slowly looked up. His aura instantly became sharp and sharp, as if it could pierce through the world. Liang Taizu stared at Qin Yu's subtle changes. He lifted a hand. Uncle C. The old man lowered his head, becoming unremarkable once more. He smiled. As the Grandmaster's disciple, I must give you some face. Since you interfered in today's matters, this is the result. But I truly hate you more and more. So, it is best if you don't run into me in the future, otherwise I will definitely kill you. Love Go Small, say Neku. The demonic path group turned and left. Whoosh, with the sound of breaking air, a beam of light shot forwards. As it landed, Zhang Qingzu's figure appeared. He anxiously asked, Zhang, are you all right? Zhang Zhang's eyes turned red. She suppressed her grievances and said, it was all thanks to Senior Ning Qin's help that the demonic path cultivators were frightened away. Zhang Qingzu hesitated. Fellow Taoist Ning Qin. Qin was a bit helpless. Why did he always run into people with extremely strong discernment abilities? He nodded and said, I ask that you keep my identity a secret. I still have some matters to attend to. So farewell. He glanced at Gu Ling, and then turned to leave. Zhang wanted to say something, but hesitated. She looked at his back, a bit confused. Although his appearance was ordinary, his character and cultivation were all above average. He had calmly frightened away the demonic path powerhouses, making him seem even more dignified. For such a Ning Qin to appear when a young girl was dreaming of love, his killing intent was astonishing. Zhang Qingzu saw all of this, and a smile bloomed on his face. In his opinion, Ning Qin's actions today were more than enough to prove what he was thinking, and the key point was that Zhang didn't reject him. If she could form a marriage with him, then it would be a great fortune for the Zhang family and for his daughter. For some unknown reason, Zhang Qingzu suddenly thought of the boy who had a verbal engagement with Zhang. He smiled inwardly. His daughter was now a true disciple of the Rainbow Sect. She had reached foundation establishment in just 3 years of cultivation, and her talent was first class, like a fairy. Now that she had finally met her match, just what sort of virtue or ability did this country bumpkin have to dream of forming a marriage with Zhang? Zhang Hua had already told him what had happened. He originally thought it was too callous, but now he felt it was the right way. Zhang Qingzu's daughter wasn't someone that just anyone had the qualifications to think about. Li Yunma had a look of unwillingness. Young master, although that boy has changed his appearance, there is no mistaking the aura on his body. The storage bag is in his hands, so why don't you capture him today? Liang Taizu placed a hand on his forehead. He lightly said, do you think that with his foundation establishment cultivation, he dares to be so insolent in front of me? Especially since Uncle C is here. Li Yunma was shocked. Are you saying that the Grandmaster has already reached nascent soul? Liang Taizu nodded. Even if there's only a 30% chance of that happening, I cannot take such a risk. Otherwise, the rage of a nascent soul will be enough to burn us to ashes. But, Li Yunma hesitated. Liang Taizu smiled. The storage bag is in his hands, so the demon body materials won't be able to escape. During the righteous and demonic convocation, there will be plenty of chances to kill him. However, in this matter, we need to stand on the side of the victim. If he tries to kill me on his own initiative and is killed instead, then even if his teacher has reached nascent soul, he still won't be able to do anything to me. Otherwise, even if he is at the nascent soul realm, he will still have to face the relentless pursuit of my demonic path. Li Yunma glanced at Deep Sea Demon and wholeheartedly said, young master is wise. So it turned out that Deep Sea Demon had already pledged his loyalty to his young master. Indeed, his young master was a demon amongst demons. His bloodline, potential, temperament, and methods were all excellent. He had a high chance of becoming a Saint Lord of the demonic path. Such a person was naturally worth following. This subordinate will immediately investigate his whereabouts. Li Yunma hurriedly left. Liang Taizu suddenly said, Uncle C? Deep Sea Demon's tone was calm. This chapter is not yet finished. Please turn the page. Within 100 miles, there is no nascent soul. Liang Taizu smiled. Very good. Everything will proceed according to the original plan. After this matter is over, there will be no one in the younger generation of the demonic path that can compare with me. The alliance meeting arrived as scheduled. On both sides of the steep valley, large stands have been carved out. The cultivators of the righteous and demonic paths sat across from each other. Although they restrained each other, their invisible auras still shot into the highest heavens, stirring up the winds and clouds. Behind them, the righteous and demonic armies were awe-inspiring. All of their eyes were focused on Hidden Wind Valley. The battle had begun. The first match, Liang Taizu's position wasn't too eye-catching. He turned and said go. The dark-skinned cultivator in the back stood up and respectfully bowed. My wife and children will be in the hands of young master, Liang Taizu said. The demonic path will not forget your contribution. The dark-skinned cultivator shot into the skies. In the blink of an eye, he landed on the battle stage and roared, Demonic Path's Mountain Shake Demon, 7th level Golden Core Cultivation. Who would like to fight? A low and deep voice with a metallic tone swept through the entire audience. In the Alliance viewing platform, several great figures frowned and turned to look. Jiang Yuanhao explained, the Alliance decides where the meeting will take place. The order of battle will be decided by the demonic path. He turned and earnestly said, Brother Ku, the demonic path has come with ill intentions. You must be careful. Ku lowered his head, revealing 9 scars on his forehead. He gathered his palms together and said, for the trillions of lives in the Southern Empire, this poor monk will do his best. The high-level Alliance figures cupped their hands together. There were no Buddhist sects in the Southern Empire, and Ku was an ascetic monk who preached to the outside world. His Buddhist cultivation was unfathomably deep, and his noble character and unquestionable integrity were worthy of praise. Ku calmly stepped forwards without the least bit of magic power fluctuations. He landed on the stage and solemnly uttered Buddhist chants. The demonic path has invaded and created endless slaughter, so there will surely be karmic retribution. You must know that the sea of bitterness knows no bounds. Repent, and you will be saved. Mountain Shake Demon laughed. My demonic path slaughters the heavens and earth, born from the killing tribulation of the world. If you want me to lay down my butcher's knife, then kill me. Bang! Demonic energy shot into the skies, billowing like thick smoke. A cold and gloomy aura swept out in all directions. With a loud bang, the red stones at the bottom of the valley disintegrated. Cracks spread outwards, and Mountain Shake Demon rushed forwards like a raging bull. Wherever he passed, the ground couldn't withstand the terrifying pressure. It shattered and splashed apart, as if it were being drawn by an invisible brush. Ku raised his hands and slapped them forwards. Buddhist light appeared, and the phantoms of thousands of Buddhas appeared, all of them glaring at him as if they were subduing a demon. Mountain Shake Demon crashed into them, as if he were crashing into a group of mountains. There was a heaven-shaking explosion, and the phantoms of Buddhas collapsed, unable to resist at all. He was like a hot knife through butter. The killing intent around him was astonishing, as if he were an ancient demon that could crush all things. On the Alliance viewing platform, the second-generation juniors cried out in alarm. Their eyes were filled with shock and fear. They didn't expect Mountain Shake Demon to be so fierce. Jiang Yuanhao and the others had calm expressions. Not only did they not panic, but they even revealed joy deep in their eyes. On the surface, it seemed as if Mountain Shake Demon had the upper hand, but the damaged Buddhas didn't dissipate. Rather, they rapidly reformed and reappeared. Mountain Shake Demon rushed forwards and was also suppressed by the Buddhas. The Buddhist cultivation methods were originally amazing in their endurance to begin with. With the rough and tyrannical Mountain Shake Demon fighting, the demons were naturally lacking. If there weren't any accidents, they would win this battle. Jiang Yuanhao and the others smiled. In the next moment, they stood up, their smiles frozen on their faces. Ha ha ha! Mountain Shake Demon wildly laughed. Bald donkey, since you want to enlighten me, then follow me to the Yellow Springs. His body grew nearly a foot taller. Blood vessels bulged beneath his skin, and a chaotic aura erupted from his body. Bang! With a heaven-shaking explosion, The earth collapsed and dust rose into the skies for miles around. Cracks appeared on the cliffs on both sides, and countless stones fell down. Rumble, rumble, it was like rolling thunder. On the Alliance viewing platform, the high-level figures all paled. Chapter 47. Genius 1, second remember if you want to go. Sure, Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Mountain Quake Demon had self-detonated. Using the golden core as a catalyst, he ignited all the magic power in his body and self-destructed, producing an extremely terrifying power that destroyed everything within its range. Qin Yu's pupil shrank and his complexion darkened. He had experienced the self-detonation of a golden core demonic cultivator before, so he was well aware of just how deadly it was. However, on that day, the one who dragged him down with him was only at the early gold core stage, while Mountain Shaking Demon's cultivation was at the late gold core stage. Kua's strength was above Mountain Shaker Demon's, and he had an advantage in the Buddhist sex cultivation technique. However, in front of the ruthlessness of perishing together, all of this seemed extremely weak. Whoosh! Jiang Yuanhao rushed into the battlefield and waved his sleeves. A strong gust of wind suddenly rose, dispersing the dust in the air and revealing the horrifying scene inside. The ground had been torn into pieces, and there was a crater that was hundreds of feet deep. Everything within a radius of a few miles had been cut down by a foot or so. It was extremely flat, but it was also broken by cracks like a broken mirror. Kua fell to the ground. His tattered monk robe was soaked in blood. His face was covered in countless wounds, and even his bones could be seen. On the Alliance viewing platform, rage appeared on everyone's faces. The only fortunate thing was that his chest rose up and down, proving that he was still alive. Jiang Yuanhao roared, "Despicable!" On the Demonic Path viewing platform, a demonic cultivator powerhouse stood up. In a battle of life and death, it is up to the will of the heavens. You can use any method at your disposal to kill your opponent. Dying together with your enemy is a heroic deed. So how is this despicable? According to our agreement, this battle is a draw. Under the support of the boundless magic power, his cold voice spread throughout the Hidden Wind Valley. In the Alliance's viewing platform, a 6th-level Golden Core cultivator's face instantly paled, and he began to sweat profusely. He was the second person to fight in the righteous and demonic wars. Everyone, he hesitated, but his meaning was clear. The high-level figures of the Alliance fell silent, unable to utter even half a word of comfort. Since the demonic path had used such cruel methods, the result could be imagined once they stepped onto the stage. Jiang Yuanhao brought Kua back and handed him over to the Alliance's doctors for treatment. When he came back covered in blood, he immediately flew into a rage. Even though Master Kua has nothing to do with the Southern Empire, he still gracefully took the stage. As an outstanding talent of the Southern Empire, you actually have thoughts of withdrawing. The man's face was full of shame. He lowered his head and did not say a word. Brother Jiang, please calm your anger. The demonic path's methods are cruel and cruel. It is understandable that fellow Taoist Lin is panicking and wants to retreat. Indeed, you and I never imagined that the demonic path would be so cruel. In this battle, we have fallen into their trap. Let's think about what we should do next. We can't just admit defeat when no one is fighting. If that was the case, the Alliance's morale would definitely collapse. Love Go Small, say, Netku Jiang Yuanhao's anger subsided. He was the person in charge of the righteous and demonic conclave. So when all was said and done, he was also responsible for this matter. His complexion became even uglier. After an emergency discussion, the higher-ups of the Alliance came up with a plan, but this was too unreasonable. Even if everyone felt that it was the only way, no one dared to say it. Finally, it fell on a Zhu Blue Cloud. After obtaining the Jade Slip from the Alliance high-level figures, Zhu Blue Cloud's complexion was extremely gloomy. He angrily tried to argue with them, but in the end he braced himself and walked over. Ning Qin, sigh, I really don't have the face to say it. See for yourself. If you don't want to, just directly refuse. If something happens, I'll support you. Qin Yu received the jade slip. After several breaths of time, he handed it back. I understand. Blue veins popped up on Zhu Bluecloud's forehead. What do you mean? You agreed? If the demonic path is even willing to self-destruct, it can be seen that they are determined to win. If you step onto the stage, you will most likely die. Qin Yu's heart warmed. He wasn't too happy with the actions of the Alliance high-level figures. But this battle not only involved the victory and defeat of the righteous and demonic factions, but it was also a tempering of his own body. Today, his spirit and will had reached the peak. He could not take even half a step back, otherwise a flaw would appear in his mind. Don't worry, I will win. Zhu Bluecloud's heart shook. He didn't know any of this, and only thought that Qin Yu was the same as Grandmaster Kuwa. He didn't want the Southern Empire's lives to suffer the torment of the demonic path. He felt ashamed, and respect welled up in his heart. He cupped his hands across his chest and said, Brother Ning, once you return victorious, we will drink until we are drunk. He turned and walked away. The jade slip was soon delivered to the demonic path viewing platform. Liang Taizu retrieved his divine sense and smiled. This chapter is not yet finished. Please turn to the next page. Li Yunmo respectfully said, Young Master's plans are truly marvelous. Gratification flashed in deep-sea demon's eyes. He felt more and more that his decision was correct. Liang Taizu really had a great chance of becoming the future Saint Monarch of the demonic path. Liang Taizu realized this and was extremely satisfied. Deep-sea demon was the strongest powerhouse under his command. To be able to make him truly loyal to him was a great harvest. And more importantly, the righteous and demonic convocation was the first major event he had taken over. If he did, well, he could stabilize his position and increase his influence within the demonic path, laying down a solid foundation for his future plans. Up until now, everything had been under his control. He had abandoned Mountain Shake Demon and crippled the Righteous Path Alliance's powerhouse Ku-Ah. He could also use this to lock in the final victory. This was absolutely worth it. Of course, all of this was built upon the outcome of the third match. But, with Army Breaker personally taking action, was there anyone in the Righteous Path Alliance that could be his match? Liang Taizu waved his hand. Agree to their request. The second match is considered a draw. Let the third match begin. He stood up. Brother Army Breaker, I'll have to trouble you. Army Breaker opened his eyes, a swift and fierce infernal energy flashing within them. Although he wasn't tall, he was like a mountain that blocked out the heavens, causing one's heart to fill with dread. After this matter, I no longer owe you any favors. Liang Taizu smiled. Of course, in the future struggle for the Demon Monarch, I look forward to meeting Brother Army Breaker. Humph. Army Breaker coughed and rushed forwards. He was like a giant boulder falling into a valley. With a heaven-shaking explosion, massive waves rose up from the ground, sweeping out in all directions. He lifted a finger and said, Who wants to die? Billowing waves echoed in the air. With such power and momentum, the demonic path viewing platform was filled with cheers. Li Yunma's complexion was ugly. Young Master, this person is a formidable opponent. Liang Taizu's smile didn't diminish. He only has the strength of a fool. There is nothing to worry about. To be able to urge Army Breaker to attack was the basis of his confidence in today's situation. Suddenly, his smile stiffened. He slowly straightened his body and narrowed his eyes. Li Yunma shouted out, Young Master, it's him. Liang Taizu's eyes were cloudy and uncertain. What should have been in the bag was now shrouded in a shadow. Young Master, rest assured, in the Southern Empire, whether it is the Righteous Path or the Demonic Path, there is no one at the early Golden Core realm that can compare with Army Breaker. Deep-Sea Demon lightly said. Li Yunma diabolically grinned. This brat is seeking death. Let's take advantage of this chance to borrow Army Breaker's hand to deal with him. Liang Taizu composed himself. He nodded. Let's see. It had only been 3 years since the incident at East Stream Town, but this little Foundation establishment boy had already become a Golden Core. Moreover, Mountain Shake Demon had blown himself up and still dared to step onto the stage. He definitely had something he could rely on. As his thoughts raced, Liang Taizu's heart wasn't as calm as it seemed on the surface. Qin Yu flew out from the viewing platform. The high-level figures of the Alliance knew who he was, and their eyes filled with shame and anticipation. If Liang Taizu wanted a lock in the victory of the third match, then so did they. The second-generation juniors were in an uproar. They began to whisper amongst themselves, "Who is this fellow? How come I've never seen him before? He is simply seeking death," and so on and so forth. At the edge, Zhang Zhang's mind was in a mess. She never imagined that he would be the one to step onto the stage for the third match. Now that things had come to this, she could only pray in her heart that Lord Ning Qin could return safely. Zhang Qingzu's complexion paled. A great karmic opportunity was about to fall upon his daughter. Not only would she have someone to rely on, but the Zhang family would also benefit from it. But Ning Qin was actually going to step onto the stage to fight. His opponent was Army Breaker, the demonic path's Army Breaker. Zhang Qingzu glanced at Zhang Zhang and sighed inwardly. Although Ning Qin was strong, he wasn't optimistic about the result of this match. The only thing he could rejoice about was that he hadn't exposed his relationship with his daughter, nor had there been any substantial progress. Shwa. The light scattered, and Qin Yu landed on the ground. Army Breaker's figure burst out, boundless demonic energy revolving around him. A blood-red, demonic seal condensed above his head. The ghost skull above howled, its terrifying aura suppressing outwards. Words, "This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page." Suddenly erupting to kill. Qin Yu remained expressionless. He lifted a hand, and with a shrill sound that tore through the air, nearly tearing apart one's eardrums, a 10-foot-long cold light appeared, slashing down on the ghost skull seal like a saber. There was a loud ringing of metal as the ghost skull was sent flying away. Army Breaker's pupils shrank. He thought to himself that this was indeed a powerful enemy. The Righteous Path Alliance had already locked in victory for the third match. He had already expected that his opponent would be strong, so he wasn't surprised. His mind stirred for a moment before he composed himself. No matter who his opponent was, since they had run into him, the result would be the same. As he approached, Army Breaker roared and punched out his fist. At the same time, a black light flew out, circling behind Qin Yu and fiercely piercing towards him. Bang! Two fists collided. Army Breaker stuffily coughed and drew back, each step causing the earth to crack open. Qin Yu also drew back. A numb feeling spread from his arm to his entire body. At this time, his complexion paled and his body trembled. The black light behind him was about to stab into his back. Whoosh! A black light met it. With a light ring, the two black lights flew back. Qin Yu lifted his hand, a black nail lingering on his fingertips. Army Breaker's face darkened. Corpse sealing nail. The demonic treasure that was forced back hung in front of him. It was shaped like a fong, its slaughter intent astonishing. However, there was a bit of damage at the tip. This was caused by the collision with the corpse sealing nail. On the demonic path viewing platform, several golden core demons stood up, their faces filled with shock. Liang Taizu sighed. "Seniors, rest assured, I already know this person's identity, and he has nothing to do with my demonic path. Killing him will not provoke any trouble." The several old demons' complexions relaxed a little, but as they thought about how the Righteous Path Alliance cultivators could control the corpse sealing nail, their complexions still darkened. Liang Taizu stood up and walked to the front of the platform. "Brother Army Breaker, there's no need to worry. If you can kill this person, I guarantee that the corpse sealing nail will belong to you in the future." "Apprentice Nephew Liang," an old demon angrily said. Liang Taizu didn't turn around. "Today's meeting will be presided over by me. I hope that seniors can support my decision." Deep Sea Demon straightened himself, a terrifying aura breaking out from his body. The eyes of the old devils flickered, but they remained silent. Liang Taizu remained expressionless, but beneath his sleeves, he had already clenched his fists. By promising the corpse sealing nail, He had already offended the powerhouses of the demonic path today. This was in no way in line with his plans. But at this time, he couldn't worry too much about this. Qin Yu's display of strength had left him shocked. If he didn't provoke Army Breaker to fight with everything he had, then his plan might fail. At that time, many of his arrangements would seem laughable and foolish. Not only would it be difficult for him to maintain his position today, but it would also cause great damage to his future plans. He had experienced danger, stood out from the rest of the sect, and obtained the status he had today. Such an outcome was obviously unacceptable to him. Army Breaker's eyes brightened. Liang Taizu's conditions had thoroughly tempted him. Those who wielded the corpse sealing nails were exalted by the demonic path. Their status was even above that of sect master. If he could obtain it, he would be able to break away from the restrictions of his lowly birth and achieve great things. Army Breaker sucked in a deep breath like a whale. His chest puffed up and the bones in his body emitted explosive sounds. His robes fluttered without wind, and his aura tumbled like boiling water. His eyes turned blood red. Die! Before his voice faded away, Army Breaker left behind a string of afterimages as he brazenly charged forward. The viewing platforms on both sides were in an uproar. No one imagined that Army Breaker, who had a rich demonic energy, a powerful mortal body, a demonic treasure in hand, and a divine sense that couldn't be underestimated, would actually be hiding such an astonishing speed attribute. Both sides were evenly matched in strength. If one of them suddenly rose in speed, just what would the result be? Everyone present was well aware of this. Bang! Zhu Blue Cloud smashed the table beside him. Zhang Zhang bit her lips, her face pale. Zhang Qingzu sighed. He really couldn't escape this. Chapter 48. Genius in a Second Remember? Go! This is the web that provides you with wonderful novels to read. The high-level figures of the Alliance paled. Once Ning Qin was defeated, Canyonwell City would be handed over to the demonic path. The Alliance's hard-won efforts to stabilize itself would be wasted, and the situation of the Southern Empire would become precarious. They began to regret agreeing to the demonic path's challenge. But now it was too late to think of these things. Congratulations, young master. The outcome has been decided. Li Yuma happily said. Deep-Sea Demon smiled. The several old demons' gloomy faces relaxed a great deal. As long as they smoothly seized Canyonwell City, Liang Taizu would take credit for it. Even if they were a bit dissatisfied, they could only suppress it. The outcome was already decided. Liang Taizu's taut heart relaxed. He looked at Qin Yu from afar, his lips curling up in a smile. In the end, you will die in front of me. Qin Yu lifted a hand. In this critical moment, he blocked Army Breaker's iron fist. He was sent flying backwards and crashed into the ground, his face pale. It's useless. I have already activated my bloodline. How many punches can you block? Army Breaker coldly said. You should be proud of yourself for forcing me to use my full strength. Qin Yu shook his numb arm and smiled. This is your trump card? It's not much. Army Breaker remained expressionless. You have a sharp tongue. I don't want to waste any more time. Let's end this here. Whoosh! He burst forwards, his terrifying killing intent causing the heart to race. Bang! As the fist struck Army Breaker's chest, his complexion changed. This was because Qin Yu didn't even try to block it, allowing it to fall. Just as he was about to retreat, an iron-like hand grasped his wrist. Qin Yu lightly said, I've caught you. Bang! A fist punched out. Army Breaker roared out. Ignoring Qin Yu's attack, he punched out once more. At nearly the same time, the two fists struck each other's chests. Like a giant drum being struck, bones groaned and groaned. In the blink of an eye, rubble flew into the air and dust rose up, submerging the two figures. The only thing that rang out was that a brutal battle of flesh and blood was taking place. The demonic path's expression darkened. They never thought that Qin Yu would use such a stupid method to break through Army Breaker's advantage in speed. But the faster the punches were, the faster the punches were. Even if both sides had powerful mortal bodies, the final victor would still be the one who punched more. Thinking of this, the demonic path cultivators calmed down. But they couldn't help but praise Qin Yu's ruthlessness and decisiveness. If it wasn't for the fact that he was ruthless enough to himself, Army Breaker's speed would have been more than enough to kill him. How could he have been dragged into this deathmatch swamp? How is this person like a cultivator of the righteous path? He's a living embodiment of the demonic path. Unfortunately, he was going to die today. His speed was fast, and his fists were also fast. In terms of strength and mortal body, the result was just as the demonic path cultivators had expected. But they had miscalculated something. Love, go small, say, net kabang, bang. His chest felt stuffy, and sticky blood began to flow out of his mouth, nose, and mouth. This was caused by his internal organs being destroyed. Every time he breathed, he felt a burning pain, as if he was being torn apart. Army Breaker's eyes widened. He really wanted to ask, why aren't you dead yet? He punched out 3 times, and Qin Yu was only able to punch out 1. From the start, Qin Yu vomited blood and looked as if he would die at any moment. But now, Army Breaker was already heavily injured. He was still vomiting blood, but the power behind his punches hadn't weakened in the slightest. Every punch that landed on his chest caused his bones to tremble and groan. Faint cracking sounds entered his ears. This was the sound of flesh and bone breaking apart. As time passed, the previously confident Army Breaker began to feel fear. He felt as if he had fallen into a trap from the very start. How could a righteous path cultivator have such a terrifying mortal body? Army Breaker didn't want to believe this, and he didn't want to face the possible results that would occur next. He could only wildly swing his fists, trying to strike Qin Yu down. But his body became increasingly tired, and the strength behind his punches began to rapidly decline. And what was terrifying was that Qin Yu's fists were still as steady as before. They were heavy and overbearing, nearly causing his chest to explode. Army Breaker finally determined that he had been tricked. His eyes widened, revealing endless anger and unwillingness. But he couldn't change his fate. He never imagined that he would die like this. The incomparably bright future he had imagined suddenly lost all luster in his heart. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. His eyes darkened, but in the next moment, they erupted with an unprecedented brilliance. Since he was doomed to die, then he would drag him down with him. The aura within his body instantly became wild. But in the next moment, he stuffily coughed. It was like an iron nail had ruthlessly stabbed into his mind, causing his body to stiffen. He wasn't the only one with a powerful soul. Bang! The fist smashed into his face, and his head exploded. Red and white matter splashed out in all directions, and the headless corpse fell to the ground. It was over. When the rumbling sounds dissipated and the faint smell of blood filled the air, everyone knew that victory and defeat of the third match had been decided. Everyone on the demonic path viewing platform was overjoyed and overjoyed. The violent fluctuations just now couldn't have been hidden from them. Luckily, Army Breaker had been a step faster and killed his opponent, not giving him a chance to self-destruct. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to determine victory or defeat in the third match. He was truly worthy of being the #1 junior of my demonic path. He was truly formidable. It was unknown where the Righteous Path Alliance had found such a freakish character, but he had still been killed by Army Breaker in the end. Good. This was simply too good. The Alliance side was deathly silent. Everyone's complexions were gloomy to the extreme. Zhu Bluecloud's eyes turned red and his body shivered. You bastard. You died. You actually died. He regretted dragging Ning Qin down with him. Otherwise, with his talent and potential, there was a high chance he would have reached nascent soul. Sorrow gushed out from Zhang Zhang's heart. Her eyes were red, and she forcefully held back her tears. She felt an emptiness in her heart, so uncomfortable that she found it hard to breathe. Zhang Qingzu sighed. Ning Qin was too careless. Although he was strong, there was still a gap between him and Army Breaker. If he had refused to step on stage, how could he have ended up like this? The young are full of vigor, Huh. The young are full of vigor. Father, Zhang cried out. Zhang Qingzu shook his head. All right, father won't say anything. Don't be sad, everything will pass. He rejoiced once more that nothing had happened between Zhang and Ning Qin. Otherwise, that would have been a great deal of trouble. Liang Taizu let out a long breath. He straightened his back, his entire body seeming to emit light. He turned and smiled. Victory and defeat have been decided. From this day forth, Canyonwell City will belong to my demonic path. Ha! An old demon laughed. Apprentice nephew Liang is truly a heroic youth. Today, you have accomplished such a great merit. Your future is limitless. Liang Taizu cupped his hands across his chest. Senior praises me too much. This junior is still young and immature. Today's victory is all thanks to the guidance of all the seniors present. The credit was his, and no one could take it away from him. Saying some beautiful words to please others was truly a good idea. As expected, the group of old demons smiled even wider, praising Liang Taizu as a dragon amongst men. Cough. Finally, someone coughed, interrupting them. Since victory and defeat have been decided, inform the Cultivator Alliance to fulfill the agreement. Good. I want to see just what sort of expression some of my old friends have right now. Another old demon cackled. After several rounds of humility, the old demon with the highest status and cultivation was elected. He looked at Liang Taizu with praise and then stepped forwards, proudly shouting, "Now that victory and defeat have been decided, when will you withdraw from Canyonwell City?" The Alliance side fell deathly silent. Although they already knew that they would be defeated, hearing these words still caused the high-level figures of the Alliance to feel as if a boulder were pressing down on their chests. If they surrendered Canyonwell City, then all of the Alliance's efforts would collapse. It was unknown just how much more effort they would have to expend before they could regain their footing. Or perhaps they would be completely routed by the demonic path. Several female cultivators amongst the second generation wept bitterly. Suddenly, a calm and slightly hoarse voice sounded out from the dust. Who said that I was defeated? The world fell deathly silent, as if everything had frozen over. Everyone looked towards a ruined valley, their faces filled with shock and shock. Pa! Pa! The sound of footsteps rang out. The tall and straight figure of a youth gradually appeared. He walked out from the range of the dust and was exposed to everyone. His figure was in a distressed state, and his black robes were severely damaged. But his expression was as calm as before. He cupped his hands together towards the Alliance viewing platform and said, "Fortunately, I didn't fail my mission." There was a collective gasp. With over 1,000 people gathered together, it was a truly spectacular sight. The Alliance side was filled with cultivators. This chapter is not yet finished. Please turn to the next page. Blood revived. Bursts of cheers erupted. Zhang covered her mouth and wept with joy. There was only a single thought in her mind. He was alive. He was still alive. After experiencing the great waves of life and death, the great ups and downs, her heart had unknowingly floated further and further away. Although Zhang Qingzu was pleasantly surprised, he was actually a bit embarrassed. Luckily, he had lowered his voice just now. Otherwise, that slap in the face would have been far too loud. Ning Qin had actually killed Army Breaker. There was no one else with such strength like him. To be able to recruit him as a son-in-law was simply a smile that could wake him up in his sleep. On the demonic path viewing platform, the atmosphere was so cold that it nearly froze the air. The old demon that had shouted at the Righteous Path Alliance to hand over Canyonwell City had a gloomy expression. He turned and glared at Liang Taizu, his cold voice coming out from between his teeth. "You had best give me an explanation." He turned and shot into the skies, vanishing without a trace. Although the remaining old demons hadn't left yet, their complexions were just as cold. The way they looked at Liang Taizu was in sharp contrast to just now. They had lost Mountain Shake Demon and also lost Army Breaker with his infinite potential. In the end, all of their efforts had been for naught. What bullshit, young heroes, dragons amongst men? Who said those words just now? Step out, and I'll beat you to death. Li Yunma suddenly shouted out. He is at the Foundation Establishment realm, not Golden Core. The results of our early Golden Core competition are invalid. Zhu Bluecloud had already rushed into the valley. He swept his eyes over Qin Yu and saw that he was completely unharmed. As soon as he heard these words, he was immediately enraged. Bullshit. My brother Ning likes to pretend to be a pig to eat the tiger. So what? What Foundation Establishment realm? I'll build your face. If you Demonic Path Foundation Establishment cultivators are so fierce, why don't you pull one out for me to see? Li Yunma wanted to argue further, but he was suddenly locked onto by several cold and gloomy eyes. He looked up to see the high-level figures of the demonic path glaring at him. He was so frightened that he swallowed his words back down. Although the demonic path was ruthless, they weren't unreasonable. A loss was a loss, but to use someone else's ability to hide their aura as an excuse was simply shameful. Of course, the reason they admitted defeat was because when Qin Yu fought with Army Breaker, he had used the strength of an early Golden Core. Otherwise, they would have already fallen out with him. But these old demons never imagined that Li Yunma would somehow find a loophole that could overturn the result of this battle. As long as they could make Qin Yu prove his Golden Core cultivation, the truth would be revealed. Liang Taizu roared out, "Come back!" Li Yunma quickly drew back. Shua, demonic light flashed. Liang Taizu jumped down from the viewing platform and arrived in the valley. Zhu Bluecloud was vigilant. What? Are you flustered and exasperated? Do you want to shed all pretense of cordiality? Liang Taizu remained expressionless. A loss is a loss. No one in the demonic path will go back on their word. But I have some words to say to him. Qin Yu waved his hand. Zhu Bluecloud drew back to the side, but he still had an expression that said, "Don't mess around. I don't care what your name is, and I don't want to know it either. But I want to kill you. From the first moment I saw you, I wanted to kill you. It seems that my intuition was correct. You really are my nemesis. In my life, I have only fallen twice, each time heavier than the last, and both times have happened to you. Perhaps by the third time, I will die under your hands, so I'll be the first to kill you." Liang Taizu suddenly smiled. He lowered his voice. "Do you remember that day when you attacked? Everyone seems to think that you attacked for Miss Zhang Zhang, but I am well aware that you only attacked for that little girl. Her name is Guling, right? I originally thought that I would attack after I obtained Canyonwell City, but you made me taste an unprecedented failure. I'm not happy at all. So, I will make my move very soon. I want you to watch her suffer all kinds of torture before she slowly dies. I guarantee you that I will accomplish this." Qin Yu was silent for a long time. Then he suddenly said, "You want to force me to attack and ruin this alliance meeting?" Liang Taizu shook his head. "You are a smart person, so you won't be so stupid. All I want is a chance to kill you. Give me this chance, and I will let her go. How about it?" Qin Yu looked up. "All right," Zhu Bluecloud anxiously said. "Ning Qin, you have to think this through. I am very clear-headed." Qin Yu looked at Liang Taizu. 3 days from now, if you're still here, I will go to your tent." Liang Taizu chuckled. "I welcome your arrival." Chapter 49. Genius in a Second. Remember Love Go. Speak, Net, providing you with wonderful novels to read. The righteous and demonic convocation came to an end. The demonic path kept their promise and would officially retreat 300 miles in 3 days, not provoking another battle for half a year. The reason it was set 3 days from now was because the high-level figures of the demonic path had a strong will. They wanted to see with their own eyes that the person who had caused the demonic path's defeat would be consigned to eternal damnation. Jiang Yuanhao's face darkened. What nonsense! How could Ning Qin agree to go to the demonic path's camp? I will never agree to this. The demonic path hates fellow Taoist Ning to the bone. If he steps into the demonic path's camp, isn't that the same as a sheep walking into a tiger's den? Another high-level alliance figure tried to persuade. Is there something that is difficult to say? There is no harm in telling us. The Alliance would do everything we can to help fellow Taoist Ning overcome this crisis. That's right, Zhu Bluecloud. You and fellow Taoist Ning are close friends. Are you going to watch him die and not try to persuade him to change his mind? These words caused Zhu Bluecloud to become the target of public criticism. Facing the harsh gazes of many people, he bitterly smiled. It's useless no matter how much I try. This matter involves Ning Qin's privacy, so he must go. Everyone, don't waste your energy. Jiang Yuanhao frowned. Is there really no way to save him? Zhu Bluecloud shook his head. He thought for a moment and said, Ning Qin told me that the Alliance should make preparations early, but I'm not too sure what he means. The complexions of Jiang Yuanhao and the others changed. There were far too many meanings in these words. Just thinking about it left them startled. But how is that possible? He was going to step into the demonic paths camp. Just who below the nascent soul realm could do anything. But Ning Qin wasn't someone who spoke without thinking. Since he said this, did he really have something to rely on? Did fellow Taoist Ning Qin really say this? Zhu Bluecloud said, How could I randomly say such words? Jiang Yuanhao looked up. He glanced at Qin Yu's seclusion area and suddenly said, Good, then I will no longer stop you. I hope that fellow Taoist Ning Qin can withdraw safely. He turned and said, Everyone, we should also make our preparations. Although the high-level Alliance figures were whispering in their hearts, Qin Yu's performance had left them shocked. It wasn't impossible for him to do something earth-shattering. It wasn't wrong to be a bit more careful. The group left in a hurry. After sending away these people, Zhu Bluecloud let out a sigh of relief. He couldn't help but ruefully smile. I stepped into the demon's lair with my own strength, and it's already difficult for me to survive. So why would I want to stir up any waves? To think that I would actually believe something so ridiculous. I really must have a problem with my brain. Zhang anxiously asked, Daddy, how is it? Zhang Qingzu's expression was gloomy as he fiercely slammed the table. Blindly arrogant, not knowing the immensity of heaven and earth. This old man has really misjudged him. Zhang cried out in alarm. Senior Ning Qin still wants to go? Zhang Qingzu coldly coughed. Jiang Yuanhao, Sun Siyuan, and all the other high-level figures of the Alliance tried to dissuade him, but he remained unmoved. He even had Zhu Bluecloud pass on a message for the Alliance to make preparations early. What preparations? Did he really think he could stir up a storm in the demonic path camp? Just because you killed Army Breaker, you've inflated your ego to such an extent. Fortunately, there's nothing between you two. Otherwise, even if nothing happens today, you'll still be implicated by him in the future. Zhang coquettishly said, Dad, what nonsense are you talking about? Your daughter was only grateful to Senior Ning Qin for helping us. I didn't mean anything else. That's good. Even if you have any other thoughts, you should quickly cut them off. This Ning Qin isn't someone you can entrust your life to. So just pretend you never saw him. Humph. In any case, he doesn't have any chance of returning alive this time. Zhang Qingzu flicked his sleeves and left. Zhang opened her mouth, but in the end didn't say anything. She was also puzzled. Why would Senior Ning Qin bring about his own destruction? Could it be, as her father said, that he had inflated his ego too much? If so, then it was far too disappointing. Qin Yu left his tent. Zhu Bluecloud, who was standing guard outside, hurried forwards. Ning Qin, it's not too late to change your mind. I will definitely go. Qin Yu shook his head. Have some confidence in me. Since I said I'm fine, then I'm sure I'll be fine. Remember, you still owe me a drink. Zhu Bluecloud shook his head. This chapter isn't finished. Please turn the page. I hope you don't regret this. Qin Yu smiled. He stepped forwards and shot into the skies, flying straight toward the other side of Hidden Wind Valley, where the demonic path camp was. In the Alliance camp, countless eyes watched him fly away. There were those that admired him, but there were even more that were puzzled and regretful. With such a bright future ahead of him, he had to enter the demon's lair alone. Wasn't this no different from seeking death? They just couldn't figure it out. Zhang bit her lips. As she watched him fly away, her eyes were a bit dazed. It was unknown just what she was thinking. Humph. My father said that Ning Qin is a proud and arrogant person. After winning the decisive battle, his ego swelled up. There will surely be a great calamity this time. My family's old ancestor also said this. He even said that Senior Jiang and the others went to persuade him, but Ning Qin remained unmoved. He even said that the alliance should prepare ahead of time. I think this is more than just arrogance. He simply doesn't know what he's doing. He's been blinded by victory. Just wait and see. There will be a time when he regrets this, but it will be too late. As the taunts of the second-generation young masters entered her ears, Zhang Zhang's heart swayed even more. Was it really, as her father said, that Ning Qin's ego swelled up too much? Suddenly, a woman from the second generation said, I have a rumor that Senior Zhu Bluecloud accidentally revealed. The reason Ning Qin entered the demon camp alone is because he was threatened by the demonic path's little monarch, Liang Taizu, and it seems to be related to a woman. How is that possible? I've never heard of a woman close to Ning Qin. This is definitely a rumor. Ning Qin is already at the Golden Core realm and enjoys at least 500 years of life. How could he possibly give up his life for a woman? That's right, this is simply nonsense. Zhang Zhang's body stiffened. She couldn't hear the following words at all. There was only one thought in her mind. The reason Ning Qin entered the demonic path camp was because he was threatened by a woman. This had to be it. He broke into the demonic domain alone and crossed tens of thousands of miles to cut down demonic golden cores. Strength, temperament, and methods were all indispensable. How could he be blinded by a single victory? Then, who was Ning Qin doing this for? Zhang Zhang's heart raced. She recalled how Qin Yu had helped her scare away Liang Taizu and the others before the battle began. She subconsciously covered her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks. It was her. It was all for her. And what saddened Zhang Zhang the most was that from start to finish, Qin Yu had never mentioned anything about her in exchange for her favorable impression. Like this, he silently withstood all the rumors and slander, shielding her from the wind and rain, nipping out all threats in the bud. With this knowledge, Zhang Zhang easily guessed what had happened. When Liang Taizu flew into the mountain valley that day, he had been threatening her. It wasn't difficult to confirm this since there were others present. Zhang Zhang turned and flew away. She soon found the worried Zhu Bluecloud. Senior Zhu, please tell me, did Senior Ning Qin enter the demonic path camp for a woman? Zhu Bluecloud subconsciously sighed. That's right, he really is an infatuated man. No matter how I tried to persuade him, it was useless. He actually came to give someone a chance to kill him. He suddenly regained his composure. He vigilantly asked, How did you know? Zhang Zhang's face was already streaming with tears. She turned and flew away. Zhu Bluecloud was stunned. This seemed to be a misunderstanding. He thought about it and decided not to chase after her and explain things to her. Not to mention whether or not this girl would be able to keep her face, but whether or not Ning Qin would be able to return was another matter altogether. What meaning was there in mentioning these things? For me, it really was for me. Zhang Zhang's tears nearly dried up. Her heart felt so uncomfortable that it nearly burst apart. As Zhang Qingzu saw his beloved daughter's appearance, he was shocked. Zhang Zhang, what happened to you? Did someone bully you? Daddy will take responsibility for you. Father, Zhang Zhang cried out in sorrow. She threw herself into his arms and cried. He did it for me. He went to the demonic path camp for me. You misunderstood him. You all misunderstood him. Zhang Qingzu's face stiffened. Zhang Zhang, what did you say? Lord Ning Qin was killed by Liang because of me. This chapter is not yet finished. Please turn the page. Taizu threatened me and only agreed to enter the demonic path camp and give Liang Taizu a chance to kill him. Father, your daughter is so sad. I'm so sad. The Zhang family cultivators were stunned. They had recklessly judged Ning Qin's arrogance just now, but they never imagined that the plot would have such a reversal. He was willing to die for Miss Zhang Zhang. Qiuqiu was moved. Beside her, Guling, it was already crying her eyes out. Linger, don't cry. For the mist to find someone who loves her so much, we should be happy. Moreover, Lord Ningqin might not necessarily die. He will come back alive. Qiu comforted her, her eyes red. Gulinger lifted a hand to wipe away her tears, but she couldn't wipe them clean. Not only was she moved, but she also felt an indescribable pain. When she was rescued by Lord Ningqin, she had felt a sense of familiarity and closeness. She was afraid that others would laugh at her, so she didn't say anything. She looked in the direction he disappeared with teary eyes, the sorrow in her heart growing heavier and heavier, just like when her mother left in the past. Brother Yuan Hao, do you really think that Ningqin can stir up a storm in the demonic path camp? An old man frowned. Jiang Yuanhao was silent for several breaths of time. I don't think so, but it's always better to be cautious. I hope that he can come back alive. Several people around him sighed and shook their heads. Although they didn't say anything, they had already expressed their attitude. Coming back alive was easier said than done. Shua, Qin Yu landed outside the demonic path camp. Several demonic cultivator guards had icy expressions, but there was a bit of admiration deep in their eyes. The person leading them stepped forwards. My lord, my husband is waiting for you in the tent. Please follow me. There was a deep respect in his voice. Lead the way. As he stepped into the demonic path camp, countless cold and gloomy eyes instantly gathered on him. The cold, killing intent left one's heart trembling. Qin Yu frowned for a moment before composing himself. This performance caused many demonic cultivators to raise their eyebrows, their killing intent rising even further. Such a character could not be allowed to grow. Today, he had to be cut down where he stood. If it weren't for the fact that Qin Yu had been invited by Liang Taizu, there would likely have been some demonic path masters who couldn't restrain their killing intent and would have attacked him. The demonic cultivator leading the way stopped outside a magnificent black and red tent. He cupped his hands together and said, My husband is in the tent. My lord, please enter. Qin Yu entered the tent. Pa. Liang Taizu clapped his hands in praise. Fellow Taoist is bold. Please sit. He leaned back in his chair, calm and composed, as if everything was within his grasp. Deep-sea demon stood at the side, his eyes closed like a piece of dead wood. Qin Yu stood still. He coldly said, There is no need to sit. I've already arrived, so how can you guarantee that you won't make things difficult for her in the future? Liang Taizu's eyes flashed. It seems that woman is incomparably important to fellow Taoist. I am a bit curious about the relationship between the two of you. Of course, that doesn't matter. Isn't the result what is most important? I vow that only deep-sea demon and I will know of this matter. After today, no matter what the result is, no third person will learn of it. Otherwise, I will suffer the punishment of 10,000 demons devouring my body. Qin Yu turned and looked at Deep-Sea Demon. Deep-Sea Demon opened his eyes. He lightly said, Young master's words are my vow. Qin Yu nodded. Good. Before his voice fell, he flicked his sleeves, and the corpse sealing nail turned into a cold light that shot straight towards Deep-Sea Demon. Deep-Sea Demon's eyes exploded with a sharp light. You are seeking death. He lifted his hand, and billowing demonic energy erupted, imprisoning the corpse sealing nail. But at this time, his complexion changed. Bang! The corpse sealing nail exploded. A terrifying strength tore apart the demonic energy. Caught off guard, Deep-Sea Demon was shaken away. At the same time, Qin Yu's figure moved. He stepped forwards, the ground shaking and blood-red flames ignited around his body. His speed rose 10 times over, and he arrived in front of Liang Taizu in the blink of an eye, his fist punching out. Bang! His head shattered and white and red flew into the air. The demonic path's little monarch Liang Taizu had died. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.